digital age, a 21st century casualty. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Conditioned by misinformation, it's just the media telling us lies. Decipher fiction from the truth. Society's slow and tragic demise. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Everyone's got their fucking opinion.
What's happening? Here we go. Got a big one on the docket today. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Good to see everybody filing in. What's happening, Courtney? Mark Tolchup in Canada. Chris Hoffman in Phoenix. What's happening in the UK, John? Hazers, Paulie. The gang's all here. I'm looking forward to this one. I know that you are too. Good to see everybody. This is one of those great shows that we look forward to, right? Every now and then, you know. Our guest today is on the Mount Rushmore of New York hardcore. So it's going to be a good one. And we've had him on before, and we have a rich history with him. So is that right? Hunter's Rest Rabbit Oasis up in British Columbia, Canada. All right. Vinny Doak, what's up? Debo the Pro. Wow. Dominic in Brooklyn. Listen. Hey, what are you doing? Playing with yourself?
Not on camera. What's happening?
Listen, you're happening. Big Sunday. Big Sunday.
This is a big one.
Yeah. It's interesting. We just had Vinny on the show, you know?
So. Exactly. Well, you know, I mean, they both, you know, plenty of, this is a great thing when we get this kind of material from people, you know, as legendary as these guys.
Hey, got to shout out Vinny Stigma's cousin, Joe Ramini, our sponsor, the Texas Silver Rush. What's up, Joe? Yes, your cousin's bandmate is on the show today. Hey, Brenda, down in Florida, how you doing? Brian Whittemore, Johan. Oh, wow. They're coming out of the woodwork. Wow. Johanna, all right. James Batista, that's right. JFK High School alumni. I didn't graduate from JFK. I got thrown out of JFK in the Bronx. I didn't graduate. I got tossed, you know. And let's not talk about for what either. Brian Matson, what's up? There you go. That said, you know, we want to keep it moving. We want to get a guest. We want to get a guest on. But first off, let's talk a little bit about photo of the day, right? Let's just cut right to it. You know what? Just for old time's sake, since it's that kind of a party, wrong answers only, please. Here we go. Photo of the day. Boom. There you go. Let's torture this guy right here. Photo of the day. You know? Is it Bobby Orr?
Old-time hockey.
Isn't there a Bobby Orr statue in front of the Boston Garden? Good one, Paul Stone. Is it Bruce Springsteen? Actually, this guy looks a lot better than what Springsteen looks like these days.
Springsteen's 75, for God's sake.
Springsteen looks fucked up these days. Is it the toy dolls? Is it when punk rock was dangerous, man? Is it that bloke from Coldplay? Is it former bassist of Law Abiding Citizens and Desolate NYHC? Is it Brian Baker? Not really. Is it Eddie Murphy? All right. Is it Iggy Pop? Is it good one? Is it Mommy's Little Monster? All right, let's is it Garth Brooks' hardcore alter ego? Who's Screech? Am I missing something? Who's Screech?
Screech from Saved by the Bell?
Is that what it is?
We got two Screeches there.
Is it Danny Partridge? All right. Enough with your, oh yes, Saved by the Bell. Okay. Enough enough with your shenanigans. Here's another one. Right answers only, please. Here you go. Right answers only, please. There you go. Is it Mr. Ness? Is it Jack Black? Is it White Trash Rob? Is it Mike Ness? Is it Corey Feldman? All right, what do we got here?
Wow, you know it. I know this is Social Distortion. Mike Ness, of course. This is this past last Friday, not this past Friday. Last Friday at the Paramount on Long Island in Huntington. Social Distortion. This show is actually over a year in the making of a reschedule. The tickets originally went on sale before he had the tonsil cancer, and so this was a makeup show, and they played with a band called the Bell Rays, which were really good, and great to see Johnny Two Bags again. Just I gotta tell you, this is the second Social Distortion show I've seen since, post cancer for Mike, and they sound renewed. Like, I definitely think they sound like they have a purpose, like they've really been sounding great. That's
Johnny, right?
Yep.
Johnny Two Bags used to be in a band. I saw them play back in the day. They were friggin' great. The Cadillac Tramps. Johnny used to play.
Man.
Oh, wow. They were great. He played in the Cadillac Tramps. I saw they were friggin' great.
Yeah. He really he fits so well with them. I mean, they really, and they played a bunch of new songs, and the new songs were really good too.
Is that right? I don't think Social Distortion's done a new record in like 10 years, right?
You're probably right. I mean, it might be about 10 years.
I gotta reach out to Mike and get him on. I've never reached out to Mike to get him on the show.
That would be big.
I never have. Right now the show's booked for a couple months in advance. It's like, I just have never reached out to him,
Well, we've had Johnny Two Bags on.
Did we?
Did we? I think we did.
I don't think so.
No, who am I mixing him up with? Oh, I'm mixing him up with Johnny Rio. My bad.
Same guy, basically. but you know what? I should reach out to Johnny Two Bags. That would be we'll get Johnny on first. Oh, and we had the old drummer for Social Distortion on the show. What was his name? Chris Reese.
Yes,
we did a show. We did a show with Chris Reese.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, I'll get Johnny's, and so's Mike. We'll get him on. Don't sweat it. The boat is we're booked for like months in advance. So
he could be our 400th guest.
That's right. The last Social Distortion record was Hard Times and Nursery Rhymes in 2011.
Yep. Wow. So it's been more than 10 years. Jesus.
Yeah. Is that right? I saw them a couple years ago at Starland. Yeah.
Yep. I was at that show.
I saw Social Distortion in 1983, I'm tempted to say, at the On Broadway in San Francisco.
Oh, wow.
I've told this story before. It's like, and it's worth repeating. I was in San Francisco. I was with some friends. I'll give you the quick version. I was in San Francisco. I was at a place called The Stone in San Francisco. And Jerry Garcia was playing, right? We were at a Jerry Garcia show. And it was, I must admit, it was friggin' boring. And I wandered outside onto the sidewalk, and I looked down the street, and there was a bunch of punks down the street. Now, I had my head shaved at the time. I was just out there with that's a whole nother story, with a different crew, and I ended up at a Jerry Garcia show. So I look across the street, and there's a bunch of punks in skins. So I go across the street, like a little bit down the block. I'm like, what's going on here? I go in. I think I might have paid $1 or $2, whatever. And I went upstairs, and I guess there was a balcony. I remember sitting in the balcony, and I watched this band play. and the people were really into the band, and the band was really, 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 they were really good. They were really good. And I did not know who I was watching. And afterwards, I asked, or I found out, or maybe towards the end of the set, it turned out it was Social Distortion, 1983 at the Stone. No, at the on Broadway. Yeah.
Wow. So the Jerry Show, was that before or after you became a big Deadhead?
Well, the Grateful Dead thing happened when I was like a young teenager. That was before.
Okay. So,
the Grateful Dead thing was before the hardcore thing.
So were you bummed out that it was a bad show?
It's just boring, Jerry Garcia. Honestly, a lot of it was boring back then, But I don't even want to get into the. I don't even want to get into the reasons that I was sort of in that community, what was going on and what was being trafficked at that time. So it was a business thing. That it was somewhat of a business reason why I was involved, at a Jerry Garcia show in San Francisco.
We'll just leave it at that.
We'll just leave it at that, Anyway, yeah. Anyway, that said, all right. Well, thanks.
Yeah, do this now.
Yep. All right. I'll talk to you in a bit.
I'll be right here.
Okay. Talk to you soon. There you have it. Enough of that malarkey. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, and we are sponsored by the Texas Silver Rush, DTFM Vinyl Distro, Generation Records, Mad Vintage, and 126 Hardcore Clothing. They're a streetwear brand for restless individuals who don't compromise. They're about being positive, spontaneous, and true to yourself. For years, they experimented with several printing methods and materials and collaborated with a large number of designers and illustrators, always giving room for fresh perspectives while retaining the hardcore attitude. Get in touch with them and ramp up your game at www.126clothing.com. That said, let's clear the deck. Let's bring our guest on. It is that time. Make sure everybody's behaving themselves in the chat room. Everything seems okay. Let's clear the deck. What the heck? And away we go. Today's guest is a Cuban-American musician hailing from New York City. As a musician, he is best known for his work with the bands The Psychos, Madball, The Alligators, The Disasters, and of course, for over 40 years, one of the pillars of New York hardcore, Agnostic Front. Here today to talk to us about his new book, With Time, The Roger Miret Archives. Please welcome, coming at us from the great state of Arizona, our old friend, Roger Miret. Hey, man.
Hey, Drew. How are you?
Good to see you, buddy.
You too.
How are you?
Good.
Is it good to be home for a minute?
A minute.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah, it's good to be home. I'm heading out to Nadia's wedding the beginning of the week.
Which is kind of mind-boggling, because I remember Nadia when she was in the draw of the bureau draw. You used to put her in the do you know what I'm talking about? Do you remember this?
That was her makeshift crib.
Dude, I went and visited you. I think you were in the squat. Where was that squat? 9th Street, 10th Street?
Yeah, and then we had her in the drawer, so she wouldn't fall out.
her crib was a draw.
Yeah.
Oh,
hey, you had to be creative back then, man.
Yeah.
You know it.
That was that, and we're gonna go wherever the ball bounces today. All right, but
all right.
That squat on that, was that the squat that Ray Bees was in there too, and it was that the other one?
At that point, when she was born, it was actually a warehouse department I took over with my dogs because I needed hot water. And back then, you remember the landlords of these buildings used to warehouse apartments because they wanted to sell the buildings with no people in it, so they could get a lot of money, for the whole thing that was going on Lower East Side. So there was a drug dealer downstairs. There was one above. So I went in there with my dogs and I got one. And I said, well, this is where I'm going to be because I'm about to have a baby and I need hot water. Right. And I had the dogs in there. Nobody fucked with us. And we stayed in there for about a year and a half. Then we got thrown out eventually.
I remember the place, the one on 9th, across from like that garden park. Was that 9th Street?
The one across from that Oh, there's so many of them I lived in.
I know. But this one I remember.
That was, wait a minute. That was, I think that was 9th.
Yeah. That said, that said, I want to talk about what you just did. You just did the Sepultura thing, right?
Yeah, that was phenomenal tour. It was fun. A lot of great times, honestly. And it's always been odd for us to be in these full like metal tours, but we do well.
Yeah.
We always did, ever since we went on that one with Obituary, Camera Cross, Malignant Creation back in 1992. I still got my jacket from that. I was showing somebody, hey, look, I got my jacket. And I showed it to Obituary, and none of them have their jacket. They made like these custom jackets for another tour. They gave us members only jackets.
Yeah.
And it was like, they gave it to everybody. And I hoard everything. I kept it. They don't have theirs.
We're gonna get to that, but this is the gang that you were out with, and you and I talked. I think like right when you started going out, it's like Derek and Paulo and Andreas. Good people,
great
man.
guys,
Good guys.
Andreas is a sweetheart. Derek, I mean, all of them, everyone you mentioned. Good people. I was honored and happy to be a part of that tour, to be honest with you. Like it's their farewell tour. It was great. We had great times. Hard tour, a lot of driving. We're still in a van, but it was fun.
Here's a shot from our good friend photographer Rich Zoller that I guess was New York the last show of the tour?
Yes. The old Nokia Theater. What was it called? The Palladium now?
I think it was a Best Buy. Now it's the Palladium. Yeah, it's a Rich Zoller shot, and here
put him in a choker, huh? I didn't finish that. I should have.
Yeah, it's
could have put him to sleep right there. Where's that picture from? That's cool.
No, that was from the Palladium. That's the last.
Oh, wow.
Rich Zoller just sent them to me. There's 3 of them. That one, this one. Here he is in action. What's going on? Looks like he's got a new pair of camo shorts, man. What's going on here? You guys.
That's the most interesting man in the world. Only he could tell you.
and here's the last one that he sent me, and this is from the same for the Nokia show. Let me ask you, I was thinking about this before. I know the drives are rough, right? I mean, but is it a little easier playing shows like that with Sepultura where you're out there on the big stage and you're not headlining and you're not getting and I thought of you the other day, bro, because we played here in the city on Sunday and we came out, we were headlining the show. We came out and right away someone kicked the mic, and the mic hit me in the teeth.
Messed up.
And I thought of you, and I said something in between song. I remember, that was something that would constantly happen to you. You get hit in the mouth with the mic, man.
I actually used to swing the mic. I used to love swinging the mic, and then I had to stop doing it because I knocked Kabul's tooth out.
Oh, is that when he picked it? He just picked it up on the ground and put it back.
First of all, he looked at me. I heard boom, and I look around. Well, what happened? He looks at me, goes, and his teeth is gone. Then he stopped playing. He picked it up. He was so pissed. It was the last day of the tour. We had to drive back. He had to go get a surgical thing. So I'm like, let me stop doing that. I kept hitting the guys in the head with it. I felt bad. But going back to what you were talking about, it's comfortable because I prefer. I'm not a barricade guy. Any way you put it, I prefer people on stage. I love it. I really do. But it was cool because we were last, and you know what it is like to get to a club, do your sound check, and wait, and then you do the show. Your adrenaline is up, and then everybody's gone, and you're like, what am I going to do now? I was tired before, but now I'm up. So that was cool. We were second. By the time we played, the places were all packed, and it was awesome. Obituary came out after us, which was phenomenal. So
Obituary still brings it, man. They're still great.
Yeah. Always my favorite.
Yeah. And then you're heading out after the wedding, right? You're heading out to Europe.
Yeah, we're doing that exactly. What you just shown right there. That's our New York Blood tour in Europe, and it's with Murphy's Law and Violent Way, which is going to be a fun tour. out there. You know, we're all in one bus, all three bands, and
Nice.
it's a giant party bus at that point with Murphy's Law. At least it's contended, and we know nothing could happen. It's all content, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And
But-
and this is an MAD tour?
That's an MAD tour, yeah. It's basically our tour put together by MAD.
Still hanging in there with Mark all these years later, huh?
Yeah, you know, he's been a lifelong friend.
Yeah.
When we first went to Europe, we were booked by somebody else, and it was a mess. It wasn't really basically a lot of their fault. I didn't know. I wasn't a citizen. You know, I still travel with a what they called a re-entry permit, and I got thrown out after like 2 shows out of the deported, and
Right.
that continued to happen. I'll do 1-2 shows deported, and I was like, this is not, it's crazy. Then we got some kind of structure. I finally became a citizen in 2006.
Uh-huh.
It used to be a nightmare to travel overseas. That's why we didn't do it a lot. Like all these bands were going overseas and stuff. We were like, I mean, am I going to play 2? And then the roadie would sing the rest, It was hilarious.
There was the time. Was it Europe or Canada you didn't get into? And what's his name? The kid, the Mike. What was his name?
That was Europe. Mike.
Mike. Yeah.
I got a hilarious story with that if you want to hear it.
Yeah, sure. I'm looking for a picture of you, me, and Mark MAD. So go ahead, please tell it.
So fast forward that whole tour, that thing's been gone, long gone. I'm at the wetlands, I'm hanging at the wetlands. I go home, and then that night, at the time, my ex-wife Denise, she comes home. She goes, "You never gonna believe what happened." I'm like, "What?" She's like, a friend I haven't seen in years showed up, and she comes up to the bar and they like start talking. And she's like, they're talking, like catching up. She goes, "You won't believe who I'm married to." She says, "Who?" She goes, "The singer of Agnostic Front." And she goes, "What? I'm married." She goes, "You're married to Roger?" She's like, "Who's Roger?" So this girl, this whole time, Mike had her thinking that, the Steele. I had pictures to prove it. But
Mike,
this is this is like years later. That tour happened in 91, and this is like 98, 99.
Here's you, me, and Mark MAD. This is 95, maybe in Europe. Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, it's 95 or 96. I think it was at the Dynamo. I think it was Dynamo. Wow. When you first came back with Kabula, and it was first time going over to Europe after you got back together, and I did the video.
Candid was supposed to come, and he couldn't. He got shot. So we had Willie, right?
Willie was on drums. That's right. That's right. Oh, Coletti can't make it. He got shot. Call Willie.
Only that kind of stuff happens to us. We keep it real.
He got shot waiting for the bus, right?
Yeah, well, that was his story, but we know what happened.
There you go. It's interesting, and I don't want to mention any other names, but it seems like whenever something fucked up happens, they were waiting for the bus or walking their dog. No. So that's it. Let's get into the book thing. Let me read. Let me read a little intro thing for the book. Agnostic Front with Time is the comprehensive visual archives of Roger Miret, with early and unseen photos, flyers, T-shirts, and band history from pre-Agnostic Front band inception through the United Blood, Victim in Pain, and Cause for Alarm eras, spanning from 1982 to 1986. The full color book includes a complete archive of Agnostic Front flyers, photos, and art, including the tour diary and story chronicling their first U.S. tour supporting Victim in Pain in 1985. Oh, is that the diary?
That's the actual diary.
Let's see that.
This is the diary that I kept on that tour.
Wow.
See? From that tour.
I noticed, and we're gonna let me get the book cover. Here's the book cover to put up. I noticed. Is it in the final draft that there's a few like diary entries from was it from Dave?
Oh, there was. See,
Dave,
I had
Dave the Skin.
A few entries, yeah, and then it was most of the entries are myself, and then Dave did a couple entries.
Yeah.
And maybe Kabula did one or two. But it was basically really most entries all by myself. And it's really cool because this book is I mean, let me tell you something. I've been working on this for 4 years. This is not something that just popped up. It's been a long journey. And then I had over almost 500 pages, and I had to condense, and I could only condense it out to 340, but it still looks great. And that tour diary it's special. It's what makes the book so unique, because you're seeing stuff. It's really cool. It's beautifully shot. Todd Huber, my partner, who I've always been partnered with, and we've done a lot of band stuff together. He shot album covers for us.
He's great, man. He's a real.
There's so much stuff with him. He's my guy shooting and my layout guy, and he did some beautiful work. You've seen some of it, Drew. And then that tour part is just like, who just came to visit me? I'm in Scottsdale, but John Reckmachine moved here. He's got a condo.
Excuse me? John moved to...
He loves Scottsdale. He bike rides all the time. So he came here like 3 days ago. Todd was just here. He just left yesterday because we're tightening up things. I came back. I'll show you. We just got the color proof, but we have to fix things now. So we're tightening stuff up. And he came. He goes, this is incredible. Like, he started reading through. He goes, you kept this diary, and he was just amazed, of that, because that became such a strong focal point. You could actually be on the tour with us, kind of,
Yeah,
it was
cool. I want to say to anybody out there that's watching, as we go through the process here, order the book. It's right there at www.generationrecords.bigcartel.com. Generation Records, of course, being one of our show sponsors, and pick it up right there as we're going through it. And let's talk a little bit about some of the stuff and walk through some of the stuff. And let me clear this stuff. Let me clear this stuff away a little bit. And let me ask you. And this is the intro. This is the intro. That you wrote, which is very, very heartfelt. But so why now for the book? After all, like, why now?
Well, like I said, I've been working on this for 4 years, and I just felt like, I did my autobiography, which was one of the hardest. That took 10 years, and one of the hardest things I ever did. And I just, having all this stuff and going through all this stuff, I just felt like, what a great time right now to show all this stuff. This book, I know it's 82 to 86, but it actually starts in the 70s. We'll talk about that later. But it's what a cool time to show all this cool memorabilia, all the interesting stuff that happened back then, not only with the band, but like all the creativity with flyers, magazines. Everybody was so involved. We were all together. We all, like photographers, we did all this together. And those years, like from the very beginning to like 80 to like 86, were so interesting. There's pre-internet, so that's the original screen layout, the screen that you would take to make the screen, the film, and then we would actually go and make the shirts in all these different colors, whatever we wanted. But what a great time to live and experience like such a thing, because then the internet came and the digital days came, and it kind of got a little boring from the creativity part of punk, like the cool layouts and stuff. So I was just going through stuff, and I'm like, wow, I'd love to put what was an inspiring book for me to do this was that I'll go pull it. And my friend did it, and it's basically, it was just like I'll go get it in a minute.
What, the ancient artifacts book?
No, that Brian did that. That came out phenomenal. Brian started doing that like about 2 years ago. Yeah. And at the same time, I was doing mine before, but it was just taking a lot longer. And that book is phenomenal, the Ancient Artifact book. That's a different style book, because it's kind of based on a wider audience of different, where I'm streamlined to just, this is, hey, you want to know and feel everything Agnostic fun. Well, here, welcome to my little visual story, including my tour, and then out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Record Aficionado is the name of that book, and it was kind of.
Huh.
Did you ever get that?
Record Aficionado?
Yeah, you know, give me. You want me to go grab it?
Yeah, if you want to go grab it.
I'll
Wait, at the break. At the break.
I'll grab it. And it was like, wow, this is cool. Like it was just because I'm also a record collector, and I was like, wow, this came out cool. I'd love to do something like this similarly with all the stuff I got. And it's funny because speaking of Brian's book, Ancient Artifacts, he mentioned the same thing. You know, It's just kind of funny. And he mentioned the same influence, you know. And of course, that other book with the T-shirts, Brian's book, that was phenomenal. Both Brian's, phenomenal books.
So
that's a cool spread right there. You just because those are the actual negatives.
Yeah, well, these are so this is a young Vinny Stigma, and where did these actual negatives come from? These are amazing.
Well, you see the one to your left. Well, I'm looking at it to the left. The Sid Vicious ain't got shit on Vinny Stigma. Man, he makes Sid Vicious look like, you know, some high school band guy.
The Sid Vicious of Mott Street, you know.
Yeah, and then there's the Guido punk to the one to the right. Well, I had Vinny was in a band called the Eliminators, right?
Sure.
And then his singer, which I'm not sure if he actually finally passed away or not, he said, "Hey, I got all this stuff." When we were doing the film, you know, he contacted Ian and said, "Hey, I know Roger's he loves all this collection. I got all this stuff that's, I want to get to him." And he sent me all this stuff, really cool stuff. And I'm like, wow, that's really, and I just kept it like everything else. I just kept it. And then boom, there you go. I'm showing you some of the stuff, you know? And this is where the book kicks off. That right there is page 1. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. It starts earlier. It starts like, prior AF, like Vinny, and then Psychos, which is prior AF for me. I joined the Psychos in 82. I mean, I did 3 other bands before that, but people know the Psychos, so I kept it to that. Yeah. And it's cool. And then it goes into, the history. And
I have to ask, you said you collect, your record collection's legendary. You collect stuff. I got to ask you, we were laughing in the beginning about you going from squat to squat. I remember when you were basically living in the van. How the hell did you keep all this stuff living such a nomadic lifestyle?
It's wild because, always with my mom. I kept a lot of stuff in my mom's house in Florida. I kept a lot of stuff. I had it with me. Kabula had a lot of my stuff too in Jersey.
Oh, and you did?
His house, and some stuff I kept with me. And then, I had to fire my squad. I lost a lot of stuff too.
Yeah.
But what I was going to try to get to is that in that trunk, you can see a lot of stuff that I've had. And I've carried that trunk and 2 other ones my whole life around with me. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's just, when I was living in the van, it was at Vinny's house, or it was at Kabula's house, and stuff like that. Or, I had it at my mom's. And what was really cool about it is one time I lost it. And I was really bummed out because I knew what was in it. I had all this, which you'll see in the book, not only test person assays, and I actually have the stamp like United Blood, stuff like that. Boom, to stamp the records.
It's awesome.
And I remember I was asking Amy because it was last with her, and she's like, "Oh, my sister had a flood." I'm like, "What was it?" She goes, "It was in an attic. My sister had a flood." I'm like, "What a hell of a flood that is." Well, I was being cool.
Right.
Flood. Well, did the house go underwater? Like what?
Right.
And fast forward 10 years later, she says, "Hey, I got all this stuff. It's in my store." And then she shows it to me. I'm like, "Isn't that the trunk I was telling you about?" She goes, "Oh yeah, I guess I've had it here." And I went and picked everything up. And it was good to get everything back, and stampers and all that stuff,
Amy came through.
She came through after the flood that went up to the attic.
Do you remember my shit? No, it got flooded. Right.
Oh, is that cool? Okay.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Let's So let's do a little. Todd sent me a couple of pages and a couple of things. I love this stuff. This kind of the real early. These are the first agnostic front fly. These are the first flyers from when you were singing, correct?
Yeah, at that point, yeah, I joined the band in was it June? Yeah, sometime in June.
Yeah.
No. April. I joined the band sometime in April.
Right.
My first show was at some weird gallery in New York City.
Right.
It's funny because I think Tommy Rat recently talked about it. Then I went and played a show in Connecticut. But those flyers in particular there are special because, first of all, you see how incorrectly agnostic
hilarious
for like the third time. Even from the very beginning, when you see that green flyer you'll see in the book, they spelled agnostic with a U, agnostic front, and then it's been misspelled like that forever. I'm like, who the hell makes these flyers? Well, anyway, those particular flyers you're looking at, they're the same show. It was the show that we shot the cover for United Blood. So, and I also exactly. So I also did this book in chronological order. It took a lot of time. And what helped a lot, besides knowledge and knowing stuff, is I traced it all down by my tattoos. Oh, I have this, and then I got this tattoo. Then I got this tattoo. Oh wait, this guy's at the show. Oh wait, this is this band playing. You know, it was like a God, like like forensic files doing this stuff. You know.
And this, of course, is the shot that our friend Randall Underwood took, right?
Absolutely.
And this is now for the cover of United Blood, you cropped in on really you guys on the stage. So this is the full shot. You see Mark from Death Before This. You see everybody else. That's like
you see John Norquist
on the right there.
Yeah, that's John right there. And then he passed, and we dedicated. We dedicated that record to him. I have, and you'll see it in the book. Their whole original paste up to that cover.
Yeah,
I have the original insert. I've got all this. You're gonna. There's the original insert on the left, and that's what it looked like.
Now the original insert, of course, is this. It was in color, but of course back then when you made the insert, it was just straight black and white Xerox, correct?
Right, and if you notice, pictures were changed around and stuff was moved around. There's three variants of that insert. Believe it or not, I have all three variants, and they're not shown in there. But if you go to, I got an Instagram page. It's called Vinyl Assault, and that if you go to Vinyl Assault, which is basically my record collection, a lot of it, not all of it. Yeah, and it's really cool if you want to see some really cool rare old records. I show all three variants of that insert.
Vinyl Assault.
Vinyl Assault on Instagram.
And what is this? Is this I don't recognize this. Is this an insert or a flyer? What is this from?
That's the back side of the insert. Remember, there's two-sided. You showed the front, and then that's the back. So that's what the back looks like afterwards Xeroxed. The picture
is that right? Excuse me, is that right, Stephen? What do you got there?
There you go, front, back.
Okay.
I actually made a copy of it and laminated it so I don't have to ever unfold it.
And what variant you got there, Steve? Let me see. That's like the third one. Does it say it next?
This is like, the original. It's the original one I got from Steve Psycho.
Well, that's not the original insert, believe it or not.
Wow.
If you go to vinyl, I mean, it's an original insert because we made them. We handmade them. They never came with them. We just made them.
Right. This is what I got from Steve all those years ago.
We'll go down the street. We'll make some and we'll put them in here. So that's why it was never like officially issued with it. We would just randomly throw in whatever. If we got up, if we drank too much with it, whatever. We'll go to CB's, we'll throw these in here. There's three variations of it, is what I'm saying.
Wow.
Go to Vinyl Assault on Instagram and you can see all three.
Yeah, that page is amazing, by the way. Your Vinyl Assault page is great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen. Stand by. We'll bring you on as needed. This is the original 1/4-inch mix down of United Blood.
That is the original full recording. That's the full recording. I could put that right now.
There was no mix down. This was it.
Right? No. This is the recording. I do have the mix down, the master 1, 2. I have 3 of these tapes. And then I have a later one for 1989 when it was second press issued. So that's the original full recording, which we just released recently, United Blood Legacy. And
it's got everything on it. Everything.
Well, it's that Dom Fury got to remix it, remaster the way he liked it, the way he should have sounded, and he brought Rabies up. It sounds phenomenal. It's called United Blood Legacy. It was just released like 2 years ago, and it's that remix and that right there. That's my original tape that I had to pick the songs from. Unfortunately, the actual tape kind of disintegrated a little bit, but I still got the case, whatever.
Sure. Yeah. And then there's one coming up here that I like a lot. This here brings back. So, and this is the test pressing?
That's the actual acetate. There was never a test pressing for United Blood, but that's what comes before anything. We went there, we got that acetate, and there's a long story with that acetate. It's in my autobiography, and that's specific acetate. Like I would bring it to different. That's it. I would bring it to different record stores to play, see how it sounded, because you can only get like 12, 15 plays of it. It doesn't sound good.
It starts to disintegrate.
He didn't want to, and he was bullshitting me. It was a long story, but I'm glad I have it again. That's the actual acetate.
And this is incredible. This is the actual stamper.
That's one. Yep, that's the stamper, and it's only one side. The AF Scratch 001 and AF 002. I'll tell you about that anyway. But that's the actual stamper that made the records.
Where were these made? Do you remember? Like, was it in Jersey?
No, it was in Long Island in the city.
Long Island.
And then for the second pressing, we took those stamp. You know, I was already locked up. You know, but it was those stampers were taken to a place, and the second pressing had to redo another stamper because the other side got ruined. So that's original, unruined one. The other one, that's where there's two different variants of the second press. Two different. I mean, for record nerds, there's two different matrix somewhere, and that's how you know which is which.
Got it. And then these are the graphics.
That's the paste up. That's the original paste up. That the full thing of making the cover. You can see to the left. You see the one in the middle. That's all my hair and everything. That's me telling Glenn, Carrie keeps Glenn. You know, everything I wanted on it, whatever. And then the right was the picture. That's going to be the cover. And then we're gonna. This is everything to work with. That one Skins. I remember that girl Judy. They used to date Billy Psycho.
Yeah,
she did that. You know,
she put all this together.
No, Glenn did that.
Glenn did that.
Yeah, Cavity Creek's Glenn.
Right.
He put it all together, and that's everything.
Graphics, Glenn. Artwork, photo, Elio, Annie, and Alex.
Yeah.
It
should say Judy.
Elio, what did? Elio did the Flash, the skinhead. That's Elio.
No, that's Judy. What Elio did was, it's also like when we were going to do the insert, he had done stuff for the insert.
Right.
But for actual parts, for that actual graphics, it's going to be Glenn and Judy.
Right.
Basically.
Great. And then there's one coming up that makes this one I can relate to. Now that's Ethan, right? Our old friend Ethan and Vin. And this makes me laugh because I remember you guys in front of CB's in the van, and literally the record covers were like on this big roll, this big spindle, and right? Am I remembering this correctly?
You're correct.
It was on this big spin, like this big fucking roll. And Vinny, you want a record? Yeah, I think it was $2 or $1 or whatever you're selling it for. And you pulled off the spindle and then cut it and then folded it. And then right there, he had the glue and he glued it together, put the record in. Here you go. I remember this. Yeah.
You know what I regret? Like I said, I had a lot of stuff, but Vinny, when we were all said and done, those rolls, Vinny had like 3 of them in his apartment.
No.
Listen to me. At one point, he did his whole bathroom with them. He like wallpaper, he glued them all over the wall, and it was his whole bathroom. And then he just threw it away. You know, I was like, man, I wish I knew you would have thrown it away. That roll was phenomenal. You know.
Wow. And
but yeah, we were gluing those. We were gluing those things together
right in front of the. Yeah.
And at CB's and wherever, we were making stuff up right there. Here you go.
What is this? What is this with the handwriting on it? Is this?
So that's a very special record right there. See, there was like 2 or 3 that label that's unplayable. You can't really tell by that, but that label goes into the matrix, and we're like, what are we going to do? Is it also a blank label? And those are the rare ones with the blank B-sides because the record company messed up and put those B-sides some disco record. I used to know the name of it. And I totally forgot it. To this day, I kick myself in the ass. Anyway, that record you're looking at in particular is we decided to dedicate one to each of us. So Ray dedicated one to me. I dedicated one to Ray. That's the one Ray dedicated to me. Now, the one I dedicated to Ray, to this day, I don't know what's happened to it. It's out there somewhere.
Can I read it? Can I read it?
You can read it.
Roger, you stuck by me when it really counted, and we really busted it skinhead style while I was in the band. Thanks for everything, blood brother. Oi, Ray.
Yeah. So we dedicate one to, and I've like me, keep everything. That's a holy grail right there.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you. It's one of my questions. What were some of the holy grails in pursuit of the material for the book? And I guess this is one of them. But was there anything else that you were after for years or whatever, and you find like something that you just took a while?
Well, that acetate is a holy grail, and I thought I would never see that again. I really thought I would never see it again. And then,
and where was it? Who had it?
Well, it popped up we were playing a show later on in the 2000s or 1990s, and somebody gave like, "Oh, would you sign?" I was like, "Where did you get this?"
What the fuck?
I was furious, but I'm not gonna be like, "Hey, that's mine. Take." I can't do that stuff to people. He got it. He told me the story. I'm like, that motherfucker sold it to you, whatever, So then fast forward, I didn't see it again. I was pissed off because, I really would like to have it, but I'm not that kind of guy. And then it landed on my friend Dave's lap somehow, or a trade, whatever. And then I went to him. I said, bro, I got to get this finally. Because he was a guy I always traded records with Dave.
Sure.
You guys, Dave was in Philly. Played in a lot of cool punk rock bands. What do people? He's got a nickname people love to call him by. I forgot. Anyway, we worked it out. I also had at that time 7 unplayed United Bloods, never played, mint, and I traded him for mint unplayed United Blood. I got it back, and he just really wanted to get it back to me. He knew it belonged.
Yeah, sure.
So that was a holy grail. I mean that stamp was a holy grail that apparently it should have been underwater.
Right.
If like the story I just told you, there's I mean, when you get forward, I'll show you another holy grail you're going to show.
Okay.
But those are like holy grails considering we're just talking about Agnostic Front. There's a lot of amazing holy grails from the New York hardcore scene,
Yeah.
Band.
A lot of these shirts that pop up in the book, and of course, I'm a big fan of the old school. It reminds me of like Springer from SSD. When we used to make homemade shirts because nobody had shirts, you had to make your own. You had to make your own. It didn't exist. So, whose were these?
Those are my shirts. What's really cool is, let me explain something to you. When we were with the Psychos before I joined AF, we were more of a punk band, like all mohawks and stuff like that. That one in the top you see in the middle with the mohawk, it's like the Psychos got Colossal Man with a mohawk. And that's the back where it says New York Skins. With all that's original blood, by the way, blood stain. That's my shirt. And then when I joined Agnostic Front, the Psychos are mad at me, to be honest with you. They were mad because they said I was a traitor because I joined Agnostic Front. Billy Psycho used to get always got his nose broken in the pit because, at the time things were changing, but we would still go to shows. I remember he got his nose broken at that show Agnostic Front played.
But why do I remember you still played bass in the Psychos even when AF started? I remember we played together. Yeah.
Exactly, like till December. Well, till the beginning of '84. I played with them, and then they just got mad at me because I was doing more AF stuff, and I was doing a lot. And they always had that little grudge. And whatever happened. But I was still popping do other shows when their bass players could make it, whatever. But we were a 3-piece till December. That show we played together with the High and Mighty at the A7, which, by the way, I don't know if you know, that was the last A7 show ever. That show.
It was us, you, Blood.
Yep.
Yeah.
Winter of '87.
Yeah.
That was the third week of '87. Around the third week, A7 closed after that. And that was the last show. I have the full video of that show. The full video. You could watch Agnostic play the whole thing.
You've been telling me that for years, man.
And I did a little art show thing at the Punk Rock Bowling this year, and I played the whole video. You could see it playing as you were there. It was an amazing art gallery. I mean, all my artifacts, all the T-shirts, all that stuff. And we're doing another one like that in December in Los Angeles. I'll inform people. It's hard to bring everything everywhere because it's a lot of stuff to carry.
Well, I remember seeing some of the footage at some point, and it's crazy. You see me walk past the screen. Yeah. You see Rodrigo from the High and the Mighty. You see
since you got that up, I want to surprise you with stuff. Is it okay? Please. These are pictures of you playing.
Wow, there I am on the right.
Yeah,
wow.
Here you are screaming and singing. Can you see it?
Yeah. Wow.
You're in there too. See?
Oh, well, yeah.
Big Rob.
Hell yeah. Big Rob. Hell yeah.
And that's the band's playing and Jimmy doing his thing.
Well, that's Jimmy on the floor of the A7.
And while I'm at it, let's not forget, speaking of me being a crazy, insane person hoarder. You recognize that? Wow. There it is. Probably your handwriting.
Let me see. Once the side with what this? Oh, the side with the songs on it. The side with nothing on it. Yeah. Wow, that's an original High and the Mighty demo.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
See, I keep things.
Holy mackerel.
I wanted to show you that on your show,
Hey, look who just checked in, Tommy Rat. What's up, Tommy?
Oh, I can't see any comments, but tell him I said hello, of course.
I put it on the screen. You can't see what's on the screen?
That show in particular you just showed, it was an interesting show. I played in all 3 bands. I played with the Agnostic Front, I played with the Cycles, and I played with the, what was it, the Rap Poison Band, we called it back then?
Well, the Rap Poison Band was sort of the original, the roots of sort of what would be Warzone eventually,
exactly.
Right?
Tommy fought for Warzone forever. Yeah. We were like, oh, the Rap Poison Band, Tommy cleared the air with that whole Warzone story. Yeah. My cousin Tito's band. I was actually Adam rehearsed, but I'm the actual guy that played. And you know what? I actually found the other day the flyer when the Rap Poison Band became Warzone. It's the same show. One's listed as Rap Poison Band, and the next one's listed as Warzone. So it's cool that I have both. And I had the same thing for Agnostic Front. The flyer when the Zoo Crew became Agnostic Front. Yeah.
Well, that let me see.
By the way, I can't see comments. So if people are commenting, I can't see it, but it's fine.
You don't see when I put you don't see when I put it on the screen like that. You can't see that?
No, I don't see nothing. Oh yeah, I just see something. I just saw something. Yo, Tommy is just Oh yeah. I'm trying not to read that stuff because it's.
I'll read it. If anything important comes up, I'll just read it to you. Let me ask you. I pulled this. Is this what apartment?
Did you just show Billy Cycle?
Where Billy? No, there he is. Billy Cycle says, "What's up, Billy Cycle?" There he is. He's watching the show. Man. What's up, Billy? We were just talking about you, man.
You know what's great in my book? There's flyers, obviously Cycles flyers, and there's one part where it says the famous Cycles, made the news. I know the story why. I mean, those guys. I mean, 2 of those Cycles are Cycles, and me. You think about it, I was probably the most normal one.
You know what's real funny too about that, and we talked to Todd Youth when he was around. God rest his soul. That show, if you look at that show, everybody's playing the same bass.
Yeah, that's right. I'm playing that's my bass. Todd
The Guild? Was that a Guild?
It's a black one, right? It's my bass.
Yeah, the black one.
Yeah. It's whatever I had.
It's like it was one bass. It was handed to every bass player in every band.
I didn't have a bass back then. He was a 13-year-old runaway. He'd get picked up every time by his dad or something. The police would come pick him up, But
Heap.
That's what we called him back then. Heap.
Yeah. I'm looking for that shot of oh, here it is. I got it. Hold on. This is worth mentioning. Hold on. Let me just. Okay, hold on. Go away. This is worth mentioning. Hold on.
Okay.
Let me find it.
But I played in all three bands that day. It was a lot of work, and I had to always cover myself. Vinny always made me put a shirt on or something.
Yeah. So I remember this. So it was so it wasn't the same guy. It had to be
the same guy. We were all 20 of us knew each other. What am I going to come out surprised at a Lucha Libre?
Here you go. Here it is. Bam.
Yeah, that's the same bass. Oh no, that's that BC Rich Todd's bass. That's Todd's bass.
Okay.
Because I had a Fender bass that I ended up giving it to Kabula. I wanted to be Sid Vicious. I had a white on black, and I lost the very first day I bought it. I got messed up, and I left it somewhere. It's in my book, my autobiography. Then I went and got another one, and I sanded it down. So when Kabula played on Victim of Pain and everything.
Got it. Let me see. Yeah, let's go. Actually, no, I'm going to go with the program. I want to ask you about what turns up. Is this your apartment? This one sort of pops up in the book, and I'm like, is this the Squat? What is this place here?
Oh, that's my apartment on 2nd Street. I lived on the 3rd floor. Michelle Crash lived on the 2nd floor with Robbie Crash. And at one point, I lived there on the 2nd floor with Michelle, Robbie, and Lisa Bat before I was dating Amy. We lived on the 2nd floor. And so did HR from the Bad Brains.
Right.
And then I got my own space above hers. It was a half a space, but I got it at that time. It was like $240 a month rent. And that's our bedroom. That's me and Amy's bedroom. If you look closely, you see some pictures. You see that one of the back of my head that's also in the book.
Right.
And then see Amy changing in that trunk. That's the same trunk.
Wow.
That I have a lot of things were in. That's in that New York, the Godfathers of Hardcore documentary.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's Freddie.
Yeah.
At the same. That's the same apartment. Freddie, was always with me, and if summers had taken me, be up there with me. That's a shot from it.
Yeah. And what's he got? Fake tattoos?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to hook him up, man.
Yeah, right. No, Freddie.
One of the boys.
Freddie was a gamer. Here's another sort of intersection that an artist that kind of came into to who was Troy? Explain to everybody who Troy was.
Troy is an artist from Oxnard, and he did a lot of cool art for all the bands from the Oxnard, California area. And he wrote that letter. Everybody would always write letters to Vinny, but of course I was the one that always replied and did everything because Vinny had the address, 285 Mott Street, So he's like, hey, I'm an artist. I love your band, whatever. And he included a bunch. You see that? You're looking at one on the right that was never used, and there's another one on the next page of unused. I have like 3 unused. That's another one's never used. One on the left, and the one on the right we became the one you can see on the right that became the tour one for 85. We put 85 in there, and that the other one became a T-shirt. So we loved his art, and we're like, oh, that's awesome, and we started using it.
Yeah, there it is.
That's the art for the tour. See, we added 85, now became an official, and that's a little bio we sent to all the people, promoters and stuff. That it was very official.
And you know what I noticed? You know what I noticed? That's really interesting. On the right, on the bio, you could tell it was white out. You whited out you whited out 2 people, bass and drums. You whited out Adam maybe and put Robin, and you added out Ray and put Jim in. Yeah,
what happened was at that point, Rob was back and forth with his. He was he went to doing school. We had it for a moment. We had Elroy play bass. I don't know if you remember that.
Of course.
And then we had another kid, Larry from Jersey, play bass. But then Rob came back, thank God.
Yeah.
This is after this Victim Pain is already out. And then Jim just joined a little bit because P.D. Hines was in a band, and P.D. Hines quit. He couldn't make it. And then we had Jim real quick, Jimmy Coletti. But
Right.
I didn't know nothing about bios and making all this stuff. I mean, that's really like Amy helped me out with that. She was the one to put all that together because she had been on a couple of different tours and she knew how things worked.
Yeah. And then here's the diary that
there
you there it is, which is going to end up like in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or the Punk Rock Museum, right?
It's going to end up in my coffin.
Yeah. There you go. And these are a couple of flyers, and this is like the first. Is this kind of the first time AF was sort of getting out of the city? I see this is Connecticut. We had done a couple. We had a venture as far east as maybe Cleveland or Cincinnati, right.
And then far north is Canada. We had that thing where we never made it to Canada. Well, we had that connection, but This is our first full U.S. tour,
right?
And then you're just seeing a little bit of it. You're not seeing the full thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool collages, and of course, it's inserts from the diary, which you could read, and you're not seeing that because that was still like when we got to our test bag. By the way, this is the actual book, and look how thick this thing is. And we got it back, and we're like, we saw things we didn't like. There's that page. We saw things we didn't like, and we had to fix a lot of things. And we're still doing that, by the way. We're still fixing it. Like here's that other page, whatever. But this is 340 some pages.
Wow.
If I had to compare it to, so you could see what I mean. And this is also a press that was roughly. It's going to be nice and cleaner and done, but we just needed something quick.
That's thick, man. That's got some weight to it.
It's 4.5 pounds.
And explain to everyone. There's two variants, right? Explain what are the differences between. There's two different versions, right?
There's going to be this version, and this is the regular. What do you call the one? I guess the regular. Then there's going to be a deluxe version that comes. This will be in a slip cover, and it's going to have a bunch of different stuff with it. And when I did that surprise thing, unannounced, quick, crazy surprise thing at Vegas this year, we did a quick sell and we cut it off real quick. Those people that bought the deluxe and the regular version have a little something special more coming to them. So there's actually three. One of them was the people that bought it. So somebody go online, be like, I'm going to go grab it quick, and then it sold out quick. And then we go into here. And then, once we're done with this pre-order, whatever stores bought, whatever, we're going to have to do something. It's going to become a lot smaller. So I'm telling people right now, and from what I heard, especially that deluxe version, that's capped out. That's capped out at 500. That's it, limited to 500. And it's already sold a lot. So Rev predicted after the show, the deluxe might be sold out. And that's it. It's gone. And then this, whatever after the advanced sales, whatever the pre-sales and whatever other stores picked up, that's it. Then we're streamlining this thing down from 300 and something to 200 pages.
Oh, wow.
This is the one to get. This is just so you understand. This is my friend Brian's book. It's a phenomenal book. And you can see what I mean, the difference.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same size.
And even this one, they sent me this one recently, cut and paste. Yeah. This is a great book. Buskey was involved in designing it, but look at the difference. Yeah.
Well, the difference is 150 pages.
Yeah.
Good quality. They're thick. Like the one that Buskey did is thinner pages, but it goes with the idea of the book. Because it's fanzines.
That's right.
Brian's book is beautiful. Yeah, Brian's book is beautiful. It's got the 100-weight paper like mine. We have 100-weight paper, thicker, more like art, style. But this thing is a beast. It's like that book you would get in school and you hate it, your history book.
A question: will these be at the B9 store? You know what?
What's going to be at the B9 store, and I'll let you bring them in so they can answer your question. Yep. It's whatever they pre-order is going to be there.
Yeah.
So, you know,
let's address this event that's coming up at Bridge 9. We've talked about this a couple times on the show. Let me come on. There you go. So here, this just in. This is what's happening on Saturday. Let me clear the deck a little bit here. On Saturday, December 7th, the Vinny Stigma Howie Abrams event is now Roger it's a joint effort. It's Vinny and Roger, both books. This is Saturday, December 7th. This is happening, and there will be a special performance afterwards. Although we're not here, you do it. Go ahead. And hey, how about you, Larry Kelly? How about you do it?
Hey, I'm gonna say we're gonna welcome Vinny and Roger and Howie and you and everybody that signs up on the RSVP through Bridge 9 Records. Gonna buy a book and a poster to come to the book signing, December 7th. It's gonna be epic. There's gonna be a lot of good friends here, good family. It's gonna be limited. So when we put the link up on Bridge 9, you sign up, you buy Vinny's book and the poster, and that gets you into this event, which there's a lot of winking going on. So I'm just going to keep winking and say that you want to be here. There's no question. This is going to be fun. And we're honored to have Roger and Vinny here. Going to be Vinny's birthday around that time. So
yeah, I forgot about that.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be
bring a lot of gifts.
And I do know that some of the artifacts from that show you had, Roger, I guess is going to be sent here. So we're going to have some of that stuff here also. Not all of it, a few trinkets.
I don't know if you actually have artifacts or some kind of something. I know they're working on something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we're at the same time, the very next week, we have the big art gallery show in Los Angeles at an actual gallery, so there has to be stuff there that they're displaying, like for the gallery.
When does the link go up, Larry? People are asking already.
We're shooting for next week. Chris is busy in October because of his daughter's merchandise that he does in Salem, but we're shooting for next week to get it on. It's going to be limited. There's going to be a certain point where it's going to sell out, and that's going to be it. It's going to be one book and poster per person. So there's not like you buy the book and the poster and you have a +1. It's just going to be book poster per person.
Well, I know I'm getting in because I'm moderating the book event, so I'm looking forward.
Yeah, you're getting in. There's hopefully, you know, some of the people that always say they're going to come up and visit, Steve Messina, will come up and visit, and we're going to make it a very special day because Chris is honored to have you be here. And I know you've been through the building, Roger. It was
twice. I've been there when he first got it.
Yeah.
And I've been there after he did the work to it. So
that's nice.
Yeah.
Well,
it was me and him, and it was a labor of love. So that's what's happening. And keep an eye out on Instagram, Bridge 9. They'll put it up, and then you can go right to the link. And thanks guys.
Thanks, Larry.
Right, bridge9.com, and then go get to the link. Yeah. Okay,
cool. www.bridge9.com. Thanks, Larry. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks,
Yeah.
you guys.
Long Grain TV's asking, is that happening in New York City? That is happening up at Bridge 9, but the very next day, Roger and I will be doing a book signing and Q&A at our friend Mark Yoshi's place at Generation Records. That is the next day. It's happening, right?
Yes, the very next day.
Very next day.
Do our thing like we did for my book.
Yeah, right. I have. Do I have a picture of that? I have a picture of that somewhere. Oh, here we go. So Roger and I. Go ahead.
We need to add that On those days, especially the first day, you could get Vinny to sign his book. You get me to sign, my book. And then at the event at Mark's place, Generation Records, I'll be signing books there too.
That's
so.
Right.
Other than that, these things are way out of my hand. They're way too heavy to keep over here. Go to Rev, especially. I'm gonna tell you right now that deluxe edition is special, and that may not make it past this weekend. So hit that. Who's that? Who's that? Vinny playing?
Yeah, it's Vinny playing drums.
Okay.
Do you remember? I don't know what the fuck's going on here.
What were we doing there? Oh yeah, that was at my book signing.
Yeah, that was at your book signing, but I don't remember him maybe this is before we're on the mics.
He is the most interesting man in the world, so we don't even know it probably happened. It was happening. That's like me playing live. I have no idea what's going on behind me, what he's doing. I watch these videos sometimes, I can't even believe the stuff he does behind me,
Scott Gajewski says, I just ordered the deluxe one too. So there you go. Like Roger said, make your move on that deluxe one because it's not going to be around much longer. That said, before we take a break, let's do one more. Ooh, Victim in Pain is, you know what? Let's take a break and then we'll come back and let's do a little bit of Victim in Pain and we'll go on for a bit more. Okay.
All right. So it gives me time to go get that other book.
Yeah, go ahead. We got you'll have a couple of minutes. Okay.
Okay. All right.
There you have it. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Often imitated, never duplicated. Clank your chains and count your change. Roger Miret is our guest today. Let's do some promo stuff. We'll come back, talk about some upcoming shows, and we'll bring Roger back on. We're going to talk about Victim in Pain. We're going to go deep. Since 1992, Generation Records has been a mainstay of the New York metropolitan area music scene. Today, they offer a diverse selection of new and used rock, jazz, indie, hip-hop, punk, hardcore, metal, blues, soundtrack, and reggae LPs, as well as t-shirts, posters, and other merchandise. They buy used record collections and music memorabilia and will pay you top dollar for them. House calls made for large collections in the tri-state area. Call or email generationrecords@gmail.com and follow them on Facebook and Instagram.
Will that be cash or debt?
Do you mean debit?
Yes. Sorry. Another eternally satisfied customer.
Yo, what's happening? I'm out here at one of our all-ages Sunday matinees on the Bowery. I hope that you are enjoying today's show. I just want to let you know that the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live needs your support. Please step up. There is a Patreon page that has a lot of unique program. Shows are announced there first. Lots of good stuff. There's a PayPal address right there on the screen if you want to make a contribution. There's also a super chat function. You could do that, but the bottom line is this show exists because of your support. We're going to be doing it for a long, long time. Thank you for all your support through the years. Back to the show.
Conditioned by indoctrination, conditioned by society. You're a victim of the digital age, a 21st century casualty. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Conditioned by misinformation, it's just the media telling us lies. Decipher fiction from the truth, society's slow and tragic demise. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Everyone's got their fucking opinion.
And we're back. It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Just want to mention a couple upcoming shows before we bring our guests back on. 1 week from today, Glenn E. Friedman will be on the show talking about his new book, Fearless Vampire Killers, The Bad Brains Photographs. A week after that, speaking, and we're about to get into the Cause for Alarm era Agnostic Front stuff, Alex Kynan will be on the show, Cause for Alarm Agnostic Front. A couple days after that, it is the return of the new music show Mark Scandato of Shutdown, and Sab Gray from Star Car and Iron Cross will be on the show talking about their new releases. A couple days after that, on November 17th, DC Hardcore represent Steve Paul Carey from Artificial Peace and Marginal Man will be on the show. 1 week after that, DMC, Daryl McDaniels, will be on the show. Looking forward to that one. Week after that is the landmark 350th episode. Thurston Moore of Sonic Youth will be on the show talking about the release of his book, Sonic Life, a Memoir. Wednesday, December 11th, Carl Agel from Corrosion of Conformity and Leadfoot and Seizure will be on the show. And then Sunday, December 15th, Brian Slagle from Metal Blade Records will be on the show. Wednesday, December 18th, Renee Mata will be on the show. And this is one we just landed. This is an interesting one. Wes Bitch from the Plasmatics will be on the show on Sunday, December 29th. So like I said, there's a lot of the show's booked way into advance. And I just want to mention again, the show needs your support. So please, if you've been watching the show, if you've been lurking out there, please come on board. Show needs your support. There's a Patreon page. Come join Patreon. It's the community within our community. There's a $2 tier, a $5 tier. Please throw your hat in the ring and support the show so we can continue doing what we're doing for many, many years to come. There it is right there. There's the Patreon page, www.patreon.com/Drew Stone. Please saddle up. Get going. Hey, Count, how you doing? Hey, Count, I gotta say, for everybody out there, Count Ralphus, it was great seeing you the other night up when Incendiary Device played Middletown, New York. So good to see you, Count. Always great when people that watch the show show up at the shows, and I get to meet people in person, man. That's just fantastic. I just love seeing you in person. So there you go. That said, I think we're good. Let's bring our guest Roger Miret back on. Hey. Raj, I think judging from what I'm looking at in the chat room, I think you might have just sold out of the deluxe edition.
All right.
I mean, about
I'm like,
yeah. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Thank you for that. Of course, everyone. I don't know if I mentioned it also. Like I think in Europe too. Like Cortex has it. Generation Records has it. So does Bridge 9. You could get from any and Rev. You could get from all those places every variant. The two variants,
Right.
So
look who just turned up. Your pal, Mark Yoshi. Euros, please order from Cortex. What's that? Oh, that's the book.
That's the Record Fascinado book. That's all three.
Oh, I know this book.
Yeah, this was very inspirational to me when I first saw it as a record collector because I'm, I collect, and I've always been collecting records. And like I've mentioned before, if you want to see some of my records, and I have some pretty awesome stuff, a lot of Misfits stuff too. Go to vinylassault.com, and I have all the New York hardcore stuff, some really rare stuff in there. But like when I first saw this. And and it includes United Blood in the first edition too. I was like, wow, this is really cool. And I started thinking, wow, I'd love to do something like that with all the stuff I got. And that's how this started when this book came out. And that's got to be 4 years ago at least, or longer.
Yeah. Once again, here's a link to pick it up. Like Roger said, you can pick it up at Rev, Cortex. The link here is for Generation, being that we're sort of akin to them because they're a sponsor of the show. That's
Sign too.
Hey, look who's coming by to say hi. Jamie from SSD. Hey, Drew, just getting on. Sorry I missed the beginning. Looking forward to seeing you guys the weekend of December 7th.
Jamie, I'm looking forward to see you too.
Yes, we are. That's it. And hey, Michael, thank you for the super chat, man. Kicking in some extra dough for the show. Throw some in, everyone. I'm passing the plate now. Thank you for supporting the show so we can. Is that right? Drastic Actions just ordered 2. I think you're gonna see. I think you see a bump in the analytics with the sales of the book after the show. You know.
Awesome.
Hey, Mick Lambro in Australia. What's up?
Mick did that artwork for us for that tour coming up.
That's right.
With Murphy's Law. Yeah.
So let's talk about. Let me get. Let's get back into what's going on with the victim in pain era here. Let me hold on. Let me get rid of that. What did I do? Hold on. How'd that happen? Oh, it's like how'd that happen? Hold on. Let me revisit that.
You know, guys, and while you're revisiting what you revisit, I'm really stoked the way this thing came out. I mean, it was a lot of work. And like I said, putting it all in the chronological order was insane, but I think it's fun you can kind of follow.
And I feel like, speaking to Todd seems like a real valuable ally in this. It seems like he was really helpful. He seems really, really organizational and really smart in putting something like this together.
I couldn't have done it without him. I mean, because I wanted he's got a really cool artistic visual way. Like, look at the stuff he shot that. It's just a piece of paper. That's just a photo I got from some random friend, and
right.
And then that's a sticker, and then that's a backstage. That's the first ever laminate that we ever got in our life.
Wow, wait, hold the presses. Look who just showed up, Keith Burkhart.
Oh, Keith. And speaking of Keith.
Yeah, that picture. Great picture. Yeah. Go ahead. There's a great picture of Keith singing. I guess early AF was like Keith did a show. Didn't James Contra do a show? And they were just trying to figure out what they were doing.
So, I mean, John Watson, obviously, which is still a friend and an awesome dude.
Yeah.
And John Watson always had style. He always had style in the pit, dancing, and always, he was always looked great, Yeah. And he was the first singer. Then he went to prison, and Keith jumped in for a few shows while Keith was in Hinckley Fan Club before they became Cause for Alarm. And you know what's interesting? Let me talk about this right now, because
please.
When I was doing my autobiography, I'm glad Keith is on here now. When I was doing my autobiography, I realized when I was doing my autobiography that everybody that ever played in Cause for Alarm in that first 7-inch was an agnostic front at some point. Keith at one point sang. Kabula ended up being our bass player. Alex ended up being our guitar player, and Rob Crib Crash played drums. He was the original drummer in the beginning of Agnostic Front. I'm like, wow, how cool is it, But
That's
anyway,
wild.
after Keith sang, John came back for a moment, and again he got locked up again, and then that's when James Contra came in. James Contra did like 2 or 3 shows.
Did he? I thought he just did that one show. I remember seeing that.
He did like maybe 2. Yeah, he did that one out of town that was a negative approach. It never happened. They drove all the way out there, negative approach and all that stuff. The police shut it down. They never played, but it was just like 2 or 3, and then I came in.
Alexa Poli says, "Nice shirt, Roger."
You like it, Alexa? I'm representing.
There you go. Nice to see you, Alexa, dear. I hope you're feeling well.
Alexa, I'm gonna call you in a little bit.
Okay. So back to this here, and this is the victim in pain era, and so interestingly enough, I never put together that the cover of Victim in Pain from the Rock Hotel was in fact this DOA Iron Cross AF show at the Rock Hotel. I guess I never connected that.
Mm-hmm. That was it. It was hard to pinpoint that one because there's no date in the flyer, if you notice.
Yeah,
and I spoke to Saab Gray, and we figured that all out, which is really cool. And yeah, that was a day that Jessica Bard, who also did a bunch of cool photos for us since the 80s too, at the A7 Club. The photos of you singing, that's all Jessica Bard. And she came and she shot the whole show. Right. And that's why this is a special show. And in that one picture in the corner there, she didn't shoot that, but someone I know shot it. And you may know who that person is.
Yeah, that photo on the upper right I took. It just so happened. And this is one of those funny things. You and I were talking like fairly recently, and I go, I have a picture of you from that. We were talking about DOAs. I said I took just a random shot because I was shooting the band, and you were sitting. And I don't know if I know we talked about it. That's Amy's head is in your lap. It was late at night. It was after you and Iron Cross played. You were sitting on the ledge of the balcony. She was passed out in your lap, and I just turned around and I just randomly snapped a shot. And it was one of those photos that's in the pile in the archive. Like, thankfully I didn't throw it out. It was kind of like a throwaway photo, just a shot, and here it is. 40 years later, I go, I have this picture of you, and it ends up in the book.
And it's awesome. And Tommy Rat's in that picture too. Yeah, that's like the Candid stuff that people never saw.
Yeah,
and it's Candid. It's like
yeah.
Here I am sitting up there watching DOA or whatever. Yeah, and just enjoying the show after I played. And
you get you give us some perspective here in the book. You talk about Victim in Pain, like being your masterpiece, and it's certainly. I must say, I listened to it today, just getting ready, for the show, and it's one of those. Victim in Pain is one of those records that when you put it on, it just like you can feel it. It brings you back to a certain era. And like you could taste it in your mouth. It's like one of those kind of records that just the sound, the guitar sound, it hits you in the soul, that record, man. It really does.
It's, and not because it's my record, it's in my top 5. And I love hearing it all the time. And it's weird for me to say that. I have a lot of amazing records. But, it wasn't the first album. New York Crowd had a phenomenal album before that.
Yeah.
And Youth record came out about the same time. Another great album. I love all these albums, but there was something different and special about Victim in Pain. I think it had a deeper, stronger connection within the streets, within the people. Somehow, I'm not knocking on nobody because all my peers, I love them all. They're great bands, all. But something about that record that really bridged New York, not only internationally but worldwide. Yeah, and it really it strongly put New York on the map.
I was just going to say that. I mean, listen, I know myself, like yourself, we have love for Kraut and the Mob and the Abused,
Reagan Youth, how phenomenal is that?
Reagan Youth, Urban Waste, Antidote.
We can keep going.
But Victim in Pain was the first 12-inch that really put New York hardcore on the map, I must say.
I think it did that, or maybe it was a time. I remember playing that show, and it was a phenomenal show. It was great. And a few months prior to that, we played a show with Kraut, which was great too. That was in January. It was Todd Hughes' last show, and then this show right here, you see now it's Kabula on bass. Yeah, right. And that was 3 months later. And then I remember this is just a regular. Look how great that shows you. And I have other photos. You see John Watson jumping off the pit.
Is that Kim? Is that Kim on the side there on the right?
Kim's standing, and then sitting down is Mike Spatz from Spatz magazine. And he did that Spatz magazine, which is my chest pretty much, and had that big banner. That's Mike Spatz. He used to do a really cool fanzine. But there's a lot of different cool people in all these shots, If you look at that picture you're looking at right there, that's the actual mastered reel of Victim in Pain. There you go. And that's the one we did Victim in Pain Legacy from, that just came out recently. Again, Dom Fury behind and mastering, making it sound exactly like it was supposed to sound, like raw, right in your face, like you're right there with us. And next to the right is the actual acetate at Frankfurt Wayne Studio of when we went there and did the acid. What's cool about that, you see dates. You see, okay, this date, that, this date, this. So a lot of people don't know, you didn't know dates, you know, and you could kind of pin together. Like I said, I spent a lot of time putting everything in an order to pin stuff together.
You know, Don Fury would tell me, you know, when I was up there and, you know, he had the drums, those drums, right? The drums from Victim in Pain. He still has them in the studio. That's the freaking drum set in the studio. In his studio, it's still that same drum set.
And that's the same drum set that was there for United Blood. Yeah. Don Fury had that room in the corner. It was an angle of the drum room, and everybody played in that drum set, you know. And what's cool about Victim in Pain, that I want to expand on that, is that, you know, before that was the show that we took the photos, and then there's another flyer. It was a show that we actually did the benefit for, to go rent this machine, the 16-track machine that we hauled down that basement at Don Fury. Me, Vinny, and Don Fury were like Kabula were like bringing this machine down. And that's
all right. Hold it. Here it is. Here's the visual. You ready?
Ready.
Boom.
That's it. So imagine us, a 16-track machine that Don Fury had no idea. I mean, everything was always 4-track, sitting out there like, okay, we got to bring this thing down. And then he took a week to figure it out. He recorded his band Balls at the time. They figured it out. And then we came there, and it was all an experiment. And what a hell of an experiment, you know?
I'm looking for, well, here's Don in the studio. Wait. Here it is. Watch this. This is great. You ready?
I'm ready.
Ooh, this is fucking great. Boom.
See what I mean? That striped drum kit.
Bro, what's up?
That's got, you know, Don Fury had a 7-inch, which is, if you go to my vinyl page, Vinyl Assault, you'll see that 7-inch. It's called Fury. Very rare, very hard to find. He used to have his whole wall pasted up of just the cover of that. And I used to be like, what is that, Don? He goes, that was my 7-inch. And it took me forever to get it, but I got one, you know? And he came from one of those cock rock pop bands, you know? He's an old school, like Matches. I mean, he went to school with the dudes from Twisted Sister and shit like that. You know what I mean? So he was a unique person himself. And it was awesome working with him. I mean, exactly. There you go.
Yeah, in that basement, it was like, it was all like all those pipes you see above them. That's all like sewage pipes and shit like that. It was gnarly down there, man.
Right, and you probably have a picture somewhere if you can see that wall that says Fury. It's all a bunch of 7-inch covers. That was his band. And Don Fury was, you know, the way we met him was interesting. It's in my book anyway. He's spoken about it. He came to our Gildersleeve show, that one show that in 80 we played with GBH, and he introduced himself, and then we went to his place and we recorded United Blood, and then we just, you know, people would go there record these demos, and we're like, we're gonna do a record here, and then when it was time to do the album, he's like, I want to get this machine. Well, okay, we'll do that. We'll do a show. We'll get all the money. We'll buy this machine. We'll rent the machine, and we'll get it done, and we'll do it. And that's what happened.
Look at that. That's Don and Hilly.
Yeah.
It's on one of the flyers. Wait, I'm remembering it now. Didn't Balls play with Agnostic Front? And it was like the benefit, the money was, you used the money for the 16-track.
Yeah, that was it. So we put down, Skinhead Youth played that too. That's in my book, that flyer. Right. We used the money for that. It was a benefit to get that machine so we could record Victim in Pain.
I got it. Here it is. Boy, I'm light on my feet today. Here you go. This is the show that we're talking about with AF and Balls, which is in Roger's book. And this was like the benefit to rent the 16-track machine. And this graphic is Elio, right?
Elio doing his crazy graphics.
Yeah.
It was and I mean, it was shows are back then with $4. The machine wasn't too much to rent back then, you know.
That's friggin' great, man. So this is this the mix down?
That's the mix down. The actual mix down of the actual album. The full recording of it, he recorded balls over it. So because he only had one. Everything was budget, so we recorded one thing, and he went back and recorded balls over it. But that had to come with me to go to do the master, so that was secured. And not like the United Blood. I have the full session because I have both.
And just looking at, here's the cover. Here, what I love about the cassette is it's a rare Rat Cage Records cassette.
What's really even rare about that cassette, if you have an original one, you'll know every single one of them skips in Victim in Pain. Like they took it off a record and it skipped like a skip. Like if you listen to a record, it skips. Every single one, Victim in Pain skips. Like it was never recorded off a reel. It was recorded off a record that had a skip.
No shit.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And that other picture you showed was the actual test pressing. And that's the test pressing. And back then, a lot of people didn't know. The person who did that was a guy named John Loader. He did all the Crass records and everything in Europe. And he was doing a lot of stuff for Dave Rat Cage. And it was supposed to be a mixed release with them. But it was like testing the waters with this record. And then we got it. So it's cool. So, here's another record, the same old story. Who knows how many were ever made? We just got a box of them. We were happy, and that's that. Every band's first, second album story.
Yeah. There's the cassette. This is a silkscreen, a 2-color silkscreen shirt that was made for Victim in Pain.
Well, that shirt was not really made for that. That came a little bit later, but you could buy it. Back then, when Victim in Pain came out, we were basically just selling anything. We like. There's a Victim in Pain. You don't see it there. There's one Sasha used to wear all the time. The guy hanging. It was one of our first. We only did like 50. Not that one. There's a really rare one with Sasha.
Wow. I've never seen. I never saw these.
Always saw her wearing it. That one's a little late, like after Victim in Pain. This one was kind of in the same era. But that one that you were looking at was kind of in the same era as this one when the record's officially out and now some official merch are coming out. But prior to that was all silkscreen stuff. We made like the skinhead ones or the one with the shirt with the Choi one and stuff like that. Basic agnostic front. That was the one Sasha used to wear all the time. That's a shirt we made. See the bottom? The bottom, it's all Sasha wearing it with Frenchie. That's a film.
And where did this come from? How did you?
Because that was a shirt that I had that Amy cut up and Sasha loved to wear, and she gave it back. And
okay.
Goes.
All right. There is some honor amongst
Yeah.
Good. And this, of course, is the iconic layout. I want to ask you, whose handwriting is this?
That's Dave Rat Cage. He gave me actually. That was his font. I don't know if he actually did it, but it's the Rat Cage font that he actually gave it to me, which I still have. It's on some kind of a disc thing I have, and that's what he used to do all that. Dave Rat Cage put it all together. Even the cover for this record was not supposed to be the cover that you see. It was a whole different. It was a photograph, and then we went through a history books. Me and Dave Rat Cage. I was at the time at the Rat Cage store, always there hanging out with him, whatever. And he said, "What about this one?" And it was like, "Wow, that's pretty powerful." And he goes, "Let's do that." And Dave Rat Cage is very, very creative. He came up with the Bad Brains logo, that, and all that stuff. He was very, very creative with art and stuff, and he was all about shock value and all kinds of crazy stuff. And it was cool.
And is this an outtake from the gatefold, the inside? This is same show.
Same
Rock
show.
Hotel?
That's actually an original photo that Jessica Barr print. That's in my collection, which I have a bunch of so many prints from so many photographers. That's hers in the back of that photograph. You see Jessica Barr. She put her name on the back, and that's an outtake photo. What's cool, like you could see them all. Even the Victim in Pain. I don't know why that blue thing. The Victim in Pain Legacy record came with a poster of all the pictures. You could see them, and one came with the booklet. You could see all those photos that Legacy that Jessica Barr did, which were phenomenal. She did a great job.
That is that. Let me see. And let me see what else. Okay, so we'll, and this is just a little sidetrack real quick. This is from the book. This is a show that what I do like about the book is that it's thorough in the regard, like, hey, when I was in the High and the Mighty, we played the show with you at the show place in New Jersey. And all I've ever known is that flyer. I do remember you asking me if we want to play, and it was short notice. Now I understand why, because there was an earlier flyer that had Reflex from Pain. I guess they must have pulled out, and we were probably hanging out at the A7 on a Friday night, and you said, hey, you want to play? You probably said, hey, you want to play this show tomorrow? And that's how, or next week or whatever, And
that's exactly what happened. If you remember correctly, like I said, the last show at the A7 Club happened the Friday before this or Saturday before this. And then I asked you to play that day, and that's a few days later you were on this bill.
Yeah, and we played out in Jersey with you, and I think that was, if I remember correctly, that was really it could be the last show I did in the High and the Mighty before I joined Anecdote. That said, let's do. I think this. So let's jump into this. This is pretty. Let's jump into the cause for alarm stuff. Let me hold on. Let me just stop. Why is it blue?
Everything I do, like I'm that guy, man. I'm very passionate about things, and like even with my autobiography, I was extremely passionate about it, and very just kind of it was important for me. Most of the stuff I do is to leave for my kids and leave for their kids. So they can see, like, have some kind of history. So same with this book. I was very, very passionate about all this stuff. What you're looking at there right now that's the master. And that's a bunch of outtakes. See, all those photos are all Amy photos. I have like 50 of them, all different. And we chose out of that the actual photo for that. And there's other really cool ones.
Where was that? I always thought that session was shot across the street from the Rock Hotel.
No, but there's two sessions there if you see them, and they're both from they're in Staten Island.
Oh,
different spots. And then there's another session in that really cool island in New York that's abandoned, had that mental ward.
Oh,
in the middle of the city, like
it's Roosevelt Island.
Right, and you can't get to it now. There's a old mental ward thing there.
Yeah.
I don't know if he sent you that picture. It's super cool.
And this is of course the cause for alarm. That's a Sean Taggart cover. Here's
go back a minute if you don't mind. That photo in the bottom. I'm sorry. That one there in the bottom. That's from that mental ward place.
I see. And back then you could actually just walk up on the place, right?
Yeah. And like I say, these are actual real prints, and they're 8x10s, beautiful prints that I have. Like 50 of them. They're all different that Amy took.
Paul Stone says, Cause for Alarm is absolutely the zenith of New York hardcore crossover. Another raw, real, and electric recording. There's magic on those records, like the Bad Brains Roar tape. Okay.
Thanks. Fair enough. I mean, it was an interesting record for me.
Yeah,
I do like it a lot. I like it a lot better now than when I was doing it.
I think it's aged well, man. I think it's aged well.
I don't know if you saw recently. We recorded 2 for some blue.
Yeah.
Something with the label, and they sounded really good too. It's a phenomenal record, and what's cool about that record is it was my mastermind thinking was, I'm going to combine Cause for Alarm and Agnostic come up with this super incredible hardcore record, and it was completely opposite.
Yeah, right.
It's like, what the, like I thought I was going to get like a combination of the first Cause for Alarm 7-inch and Agnostic Front, United Blood, and Agnostic, and I got something completely different. But when we came back from that tour, there was 4 of those songs already written, so we were actually going in that direction anyway.
And I think, hey, Arnolfo from Chacho's Tacos, what's up, Arnolfo? Good to see you.
Tacos, yeah.
I hope you're doing well down in Texas, you and your brother, man.
You see that image right next to that that's the actual real image that's
Yeah.
not distorted. So I thought that would be cool people to see that.
Yeah, yeah. I always thought that was right across the street from Rock Hotel on Jane Street. I guess not.
No, those are the steps in some Stapleton High. I lived in Stapleton at the time in Staten Island, and that's the steps.
Yeah.
And we took shots there.
Yes, iconic photo. I think part of what makes now the original pressing of Cause for Alarm was on Combat, correct?
Was he that? Why I chose that one? Let me just say this. I also have done the whole Discogs on Agnostic Front, and there's over 500 variants of just tapes and cassettes, and a lot of like 100 and something Russian bootleg like see this. They're incredible. I collect them all. I have them all. So doing all the research on all the records, this was an odd one because it came out on Combat Core. They actually made that label for us because they didn't know what to do with us. And then they had like other bands like GBH and Circle Jerks and other bands come in, Q's, all that stuff. But if you notice, that's an actual Combat label. This is right when we're going to be on Combat, and then they switched to the Combat Core. So the labels were made Combat. You see it? This is a Combat Core. Yeah. And then the sleeves say Combat Core, and then that's a very obviously that's a very first press. That's before the labels were switched.
Right.
To very Combat rare. Core. That's very rare.
And the shirt, was this a shirt that you guys made?
No, that's one of those shirts that came out around the time that there's a lot of shirts that came out that we didn't do that, but around the time they were classics and people got them, and they were cool. They were hard to find, those shirts. That cassette doesn't skip, by the way. There's no skips in that cassette. Yeah,
right. And actually part of something that I have, which you could see in the background here, is I have a promo poster, a rare promo poster for that record, and it's signed by the artist Sean Taggart.
Sean Taggart did that. He did all the art. Yeah. And I don't know if you got to see is that all you got for Cause for Alarm?
No, there's more. Hold on.
Okay. Like that's that to the side there to that one last shirt you showed. That's the actual original Sean Taggart artwork.
This right here.
Right. I don't own that, but Sean Taggart has sent me that file. My friend Dave owns that. He actually bought that from Sean, which is really cool.
That's the original artwork?
That's the original. That's Sean Taggart sent me that shot from the original artwork that he did.
It looks really small. It looks very small.
Well, it might not be the same. I'm not saying it's the same size.
Okay.
But that actual art, the original, same size, everything, my friend Dave owns that, which is really cool. He actually bought it from one of his gallery when he was selling that one. And that's the second one. The original.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you about the infamous sort of pit bulls and
that was the first one he came up with. Sean had a crazy imagination, which I loved. He came up with that one that got rejected, and he came up with this one.
Right. And the one that got rejected not too long ago, it kind of came back around. And didn't you guys make a current? You revived it as a T-shirt or something, or you did? Wasn't it? Didn't you bring it back as a T-shirt when you did the Cause for Alarm reunion shows?
No, we just
did something with it. I remember seeing that.
The regular cover one.
Oh, okay. Let me see. How about? Oh, this is interesting. This is kind of going, and I asked you in my notes. I couldn't figure out who this was here in this picture.
Well, you know who it is now, right?
I do know who it is now. Why don't you tell us?
Well, what's really cool is if you notice, that's an iconic, obviously singer with the Ballstones, and guess who it is anyway. But what's cool about that photo? Let me see who could guess who that is. That's
okay. Yeah,
I gave a hint.
No hints. No hints. Can anybody guess who this is in this photo? Holding up the Agnostic Front.
That's his copy of the 7-inch and his hair. He was dyeing his hair.
Yeah.
See if anybody guesses.
Yeah, they're kind of nailing it right off the bat.
I didn't give it away when I said singer of Ballstones.
Yeah. Dicky Barrett, Dicky,
That's it.
Impact Unit. Yeah.
Yep, Impact Unit. What a hell of a band.
So I never saw this. I opened up the book and I was like, who's this?
Dicky
Where'd
Barrett,
this one come from?
That's from him.
Oh, Dicky sent it to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a cool picture of him holding up the 7. It's just, it's amazing. And getting
Yeah.
his hair bleached.
Yeah, right. That's great.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know who took the photo, but that's
Is that right? Somebody said Adlinkle 19. The second pressing on Combat Core has the poster and the LP cover art is really deep and cool. I didn't know there was a poster in. Yeah.
I don't think there was ever a poster. They all had insert. There was never a poster of that.
Maybe an insert is what he's talking about. Now the book, it's funny. I had notes and I never looked at them, but that's how it goes. So the book kind of plays out on. Now let's just go through this last stuff because we're winding down the sort of the end of the book here. You know, this is after Cause for Alarm came out, and
before.
This is right before.
So we came back from our U.S. tour, 1985. Like I said, the book ends, and we did a show at CB's, and that same, which you'll see in the book, on that same CB's thing, you'll see benefit show. That was the first benefit show for CBGB's coming up in 2 weeks, whatever. And that was the first time we played with a bunch of metal bands, and that's the first time we met Carnivore.
Right.
Okay. Benefit show. It was like a Tuesday night or something weird like that at CB's.
Is this it? Yeah, the benefit for the CBGB rent hike, Sabotage, Carnivore, Blessed Us, AF, CB's.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's
a lot of benefits back then.
Yep.
And then the next one is interesting. When I joined Anecdotes, we played this show together at Jim's Country Inn in I guess it was West Babylon. Agnostic Front, The Mob, Anecdotes, Crumbsuckers, and Crackdown. And I remember, I guess it was Coletti was playing drums at this point, right?
I think he was. He kind of left a little bit after that. Yes.
I remember you guys. You guys were great. I remember you guys were really good. At this point, you guys had it going on.
U.S. tour, so we were on point.
Yeah, you were. I remember you guys were at another level at that point. And here's another great Rock Hotel show: Kraut, Agnostic Front, Reagan Youth, Murphy's Law. And you know what? I want to mention, sort of at this juncture here, that after, as we see Reagan Youth, after the show's over, I'm heading down to the Old Day 7 for the Paul Cripple memorial at, Jesse let him do the memorial. So that's where I'm heading after the show.
Well, please, if you see old friends, which you will, give my regards and everything.
I was thinking about Paul, and I was thinking about Dave today. You remember Dave?
Of course.
Yeah. I remember Dave. I remember having a lot of laughs with Dave
too. Andy was awesome.
Yeah.
And then Andy got cleaned up and did really well. Had that restaurant. I remember going to his restaurant, having these amazing 5-course meals. He became this high-tech chef.
Right.
And then he passed away.
Ugh.
It is what it is, man. Unfortunately, that's kind of what I like. I don't really do a lot of social media, and when I do pop up on Facebook, it's a fucking obituary, man. I hate it.
Yeah. Well, you got a lot of stuff going on. It's hard to do social media.
Yeah.
You know who's all over social media? Who's a fucking hoot is Waddy. Waddy is like Waddy's like he's like filming everything. Waddy's fucking crazy. Still, Waddy's out of his mind. Still.
Yeah.
He's so that he's great. So kind of going through the oops. Sorry. Here's another. What is on the second?
That's the back of that same. See, that's the making of a flyer. You see it like I'm pasting everything up. I'm making. There's a lot of making ofs, and in the back is the actual set list for that show we're gonna play.
Oh, wow.
I was figuring out a set list, and all those names are accurate except for one name. was changed. I can't really read it too good. I can't see it too good. But you see that song "Face of Death"?
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
That would turn out to be the Eliminator.
Oh,
More than one face of death. Remember, that's the chorus.
Right. Yeah.
So all the songs are accurate, and then that's the actual what it came out after. That's what it looks like after the paste up.
I see.
And then that's
Very
the
nice.
same show, I think, right? They're both the same show.
Yeah.
And that was us in Youth of Today, and then the pictures from that show are phenomenal. There you go. Yeah, that soundtrack on the left. Look at that. Look at that spaceship that Louis played.
well, so these photos, these shots here are one of the very. I think you guys did 2 shows with Louis from Carnivore on drums.
Yep.
This is, and they were both at CB's, I think. Do I remember?
No,
right?
no, that one is one right there. That's Louis. That's the only picture I've got of Louis ever playing drums with us, because he's behind a drum kit. I mean, I love the spaceship drum kit he had, and every one of those toms was tuned to some crazy song he loved. I remember he used to talk about it. And that's us doing sound check on the left, and then that's the actual show on the right.
Wow. And so this was this before or after the record came out?
It's all before.
We're
in 1985.
I always thought that the shows you did with Louis was when the record came out. You had to sort of do no, I did not know. I did not realize that.
That's still 1985. Those are phenomenal photos.
And rare photos. You have Alex with hair, right? And Louis on drums.
Yep.
What a great shot. You see Johnny Stiff,
Yeah, Ray. You see Frenchie, Rabies. You see, I mean,
Billy Milano. You
got Scott Ian Anthrax in there. There's a lot.
Right. Yeah, Scott. That's right. River City Sasquatch says Scott Ian is at that show. Yeah. Yep. And
that's
I
still
think
1985. This is December of 85, right? This is kind of where the book is kind of leading it out. You see, then we played. That's the other show we played with Lou at Lemore's with Exodus.
I see.
You see, and then all of a sudden, album out. So then I go into the album's coming out. It's all in chronological, whatever order.
Chronological order, yeah. And so, which kind of is the question is like, why does it end with sort of the release of, like, what was the concept? Why does it end with the release
Look
of
at the
Cause
size
for
of
Alarm?
this thing.
Okay, all right.
I mean, it weighs 4.5 pounds. No, you
Right.
know what? And also, to be honest with you, we were going to continue forward with the Cause for Alarm stuff. And we were already at 400 some pages. We couldn't find somebody who would do a book that big.
Right.
We had to stream down. And then second of all, like everything changed, not with, I mean, the world got different. The digital world came in and things got boring digitally. And then the internet came, things got boring. This is all pre all that. It was like so much people are really true involved in making flyers, zines, and shows and handing flyers. It turned into a different world. So I felt like this is extremely, important for the band's legacy, band's history. Now, I could always do another book and continue on from there, but man, this took 4 years. And to be honest with you, people are asking
already.
Honestly, as soon as I hit the road a lot, at that point I started getting a lot of records from people, from whatever. But I had enough stuff. I couldn't keep taking stuff, so I kind of stopped on that end. I kind of do more and less collecting.
Let me ask you: Isn't this the next? Would be the next step?
That would be the next step. That's the actual touring lineup for Cause for Alarm. And there's a really cool photo in the book of that lineup. That's Gordon Ances, who played in New York City Mayhem on guitar.
Joey Montanaro
on drums
from Howard Beach.
Yeah, and unfortunately, he's not with us anymore.
Yeah.
But Gordon Ances, he's got New York hardcore history. He's got from New York City Mayhem and on. Yeah. So that was the actual lineup for the tour. Where
did Joey come from? Joey Montanaro. Did he come in on an audition? This is a fun because why do I think he came in on an audition or something?
He did. So what happened was we had an audition and we had like 3 or 4 guys. and they weren't really cutting. This guy was good, right? And he just put himself in the band. Nobody ever told me he was in a band. Nothing, he's in a band. But he was awesome. He was a Guido, straight up Guido that knew nothing about hardcore from Long Island. No, from Brooklyn, from Canarsie.
No, he was from Howard Beach.
Howard Beach. In John Gotti's neighborhood. And he put himself in the band, and we toured with him. It was like the hardest tour. He didn't know how to tour. Like everyone was getting like $5 for the day or $3, and he would go get stuffed mushrooms, and then we had brutal fights. We actually physically fought.
And he was a tough kid. Joey was a tough kid.
I could tell you amazing stories of Joey. I could tell you really a lot of amazing.
And he liked to scrap too. He liked to scrap that kid. I like Joe. I spent some time with Joey.
On this tour, you say you could, there are people that you could play with and people you could tour with. Sometimes it doesn't work. They did not make a tour. He started off not making a tour because he didn't know what to do with his $3. We were eating like $1 every day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You get 2 hot dogs and a Coke from 7-Eleven. That was our meal, right? And he didn't know how to live like that. But towards the middle of the tour, he got it, And next thing you know, we came back and we kind of broke up a little bit, whatever. We just redid the band a little bit. Kabula wanted to do a version of the band. I wanted to do a different version of the band. We did different things. He went on to play in GBH. Yeah. He was GBH's drummer after that tour.
Yeah. Because you toured with GBH.
That was a tour. 86.
And they needed a drummer, and they called him. I remember him telling me this. They called him, and they flew him over the next day. He learned the stuff at one rehearsal, and he did a whole tour with GBH.
Joe was a great drummer, a really great guy to tour. At first, it was like the most difficult thing in the world, but it took him a week to figure out, okay. Yeah. And then he was all in.
Yeah. Yeah, he passed away very young.
Yeah, sadly, really sadly.
Yeah, and he was he
had a rough life. His father, history, you know what I mean.
I do. And let's just say Joey was from Howard Beach, and he was a rough and tumble kid. And but he had a good heart, and he was a funny guy, man. Joey was funny. Yeah, funny guy. That said, let's take a real quick sponsor break. Let's come back. Let's take a couple questions from around the world, and we'll let everybody know where to get the book. So this will be a quick one. It'll be a couple minutes, okay?
Okay.
All right. There you have it. It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Our guest today is Roger Miret, talking about his new book, With Time, the Roger Miret Archive. If you have any questions for our guest, now is the time to post it. Once again, we are sponsored by blah, 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 and the Texas Silver Rush. They're a jewelry design firm and boutique store located in the birthplace of the Texas country music scene in Fredericksburg, Texas. They specialize in working with musicians in all music genres to design and create unique one-off pieces, as well as to style them for stage, album covers, promo photos, and social media exposure. Their client list includes Rock and Roll Hall of Famers Gregory Ray, Ringo Starr, and of course, Agnostic Front. Information on online sales are being taken at their Facebook and Instagram pages, and of course, www.texassilverrush.com. Last but not least, Mad Vintage buys, sells, collects band shirts, primarily hardcore. The DIY operation was started and is operated by a hardcore kid who just loves collecting and eventually got into vintage clothing, specifically the realm of vintage band shirts. They're always looking to buy out collections to either keep, sell, or trade new shirts added daily at www.madvintage.com and post it on Instagram. Dig deep into that closet of crapola and reach out to them. Help me help you, Mad Vintage. That said, listen, there's room on the boat for we're looking for a new sponsor. Of course, we do have the Texas Silver Rush. We have DTFM Vinyl Distro, Generation Records, 126 Hardcore Clothing, Ed Mad Vintage. If you would like to be a sponsor of the show, please reach out. We'd love to have you. It's affordable, and let's get your brand out there with the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. I also want to mention again, please join Patreon if you can, or a super chat. There's a PayPal address there. Your support is what makes this show happen. Also, on Instagram, Stone Films NYC. Please like the show right now. If you're watching it, give it a thumbs up. Give it a like. I want to welcome our new patrons, Mini Kabula, Rob Kabula's ex-wife, who was around back then, and Brandon Vince, new patrons. Thank you. Please join Patreon. Please support the show. That's how it works. Help me help you. That said, and there is the Instagram. There's Instagram Stone Films NYC. Please give it a thumbs up. Also, subscribe. If you're watching in rerun, subscribe to the Stone Films page on YouTube. Blah, blah. That said, let's clear the deck. Let's bring our guest back on. Any questions you have? Feel free to post it now. Let's see. Let's bring Roger back on. I want to say real quick, let me put you over there. Once again, everybody watching, the book is With Time, the Roger Miret Archives. Pick it up at www.generationrecords.bigcartel.com. There it is. Boom. It's also available, Roger, at Rev and Cortex, right?
Rev, Cortex, Generation Records, and Bridge 9.
And
All
Bridge
of them
9.
have the pre-sales right now.
That's
the
right.
pre-sales are only, I think, till November 20 something. Then it's a hard cut. Then it's you will figure out what's going on after that.
Right. And just a reminder that we're going to be up at Bridge 9 on December 7th. I will be moderating the book event with Roger and Vinny, along with Howie Abrams. A little bit of a special performance happening after RSVP at Bridge 9. And then the next day, we will be down at Generation Records, Roger and myself, doing a book signing and Q&A in person. It's always fun when we do it in person. So come on down to one of these events. That said, let's see what we got. All right. Well, let's. Wow, good stuff. Wow, good stuff. Good stuff, gang. Let's go with this one. Roger, first and best memory of Pete Steele at that time, like a Pete Steele memory.
Wow, that's a good one. Well, that show we officially met Carnival was that one benefit show. And it was a trip to watch them play, because back then Carnival was on fire. It was, they had the whole thing, the outfits, all the crazy stuff. Kabula was blown away, and I could go into a story that Kabula tried to do the same thing while AF. I was like, dude, we can't have. We once pulled up to CBGB's with a dead deer, He picked up. I was asleep. We played Connecticut. I woke up. There's dead stuff, animals in the van, and he's trying to put them out as we put. I said, "Dude, you can't do that." And that's what I don't know if you remember where at that show where you see you remember there was a dumpster for the CBGBs?
I was there, bro. I was there.
They came and remember
there was a fucking a dead deer, dead deer. And did you guys throw it? Did you throw it in the dumpster or something?
I don't know what we were gonna do. It was dead to be. It was roadkill.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
There you go. That's Carnival.
Yeah.
Let me tell you how that connection came together was, I don't know if you remember Connie Barrett. Connie kind of managed you guys back then. She did. This is all happened. We came back from tour. Yeah. All of a sudden, she's at the show and she's like, "Hey, I could get this record deal with." She's the one that got out of record deal and everything. And I do. She was managing Whiplash when it was the 3 Tonys. She was managing. She was part of managing King Diamond. Knew a little bit of King Diamond, Prong, I think a little bit, and she was managing Carnivore. So we just we don't know what we're doing. So we like, okay, we're gonna be we signed papers, whatever. Next thing you know, it became.
Excuse me. Look who just chimed in. Tony Portaro from Whiplash goes, "Oh my, Connie Barrett."
Tony. Yeah, Tony.
Yeah.
You remember? You know what
Tony.
I came across? You know what I came across the other day is the actual. Actually, I got it from Tommy Rat. Yeah, somehow it was in the back of a flyer. The actual when we fired her, like we said, yeah, I have that. It's like a letter from Vinny to her. You're
from
fired.
Vinny of all people.
yeah. I got that. Yeah. But Connie Barrett was the one. All of a sudden, Jimmy Clay became a no-show. He just disappeared, and she's like, "Well, we'll get Louis Beto to come in," and it became like. And then at the time, Louis Beto came in, right? And he was doing drums, and we were practicing at the Carnivore rehearsal, which is it's either Lou's backyard or Pete's backyard, their mom's parents' backyard. There was a garage, and we practiced back there. And we would go there, and Carnival would be practicing, and then we would practice for the record. It was cool. We were influencing each other. At that point, Carnival was crossing over to hardcore, and we were kind of crossing over to metal. And if you notice, Pete Steele started becoming a little bit more hardcore-ish. And the band, that second album, Something of God, I can't remember the name of the album. I have it. It was a little bit more hardcore-ish, and it was kind of, we were merging, and we were physically merging. We became great friends.
And Pete was hanging out at matinees. He shaved his head. He was hanging out.
Because we were hanging out in his garage. This merge became in his garage. We became like, and Pete helped out with a lot of lyrics. At one point, I kind of disappeared, and Carl Eisman was singing for a moment, and I didn't know if I wanted to come back. It's a long story. It's in my book. But
is that when you went to Harley School?
No, that's way later. I went to Harley School in 93. We're still talking 80, 85, because the record was being recorded. That record was recorded in 85.
Gotcha.
So everything happened so fast.
Retaliation.
Had a part, and he was part writing in it too. He did some songs. I came in and sang. At that point, there were songs I did too, of course. And it was cool because Kabula and Alex were really enjoying writing music together with Lou. Lou's a great freaking person, great drummer. Yeah. I love those comeback shows we did. That was so much fun. The original whole band, and we played everything as this should be. It was awesome,
Yeah, that was great. I'm looking for the photo. Here you go. This is a great photo from that night when you guys played the Black and Blue Bowl at the Well. I believe was it 2014. Yeah. Boom, there you go.
Yep. That's the original lineup once again together for the record. Yeah. And I flew in 2 days before and just got on there. They were practicing together. Them four practiced together. And AJ, who plays in Kabulu's band, was like singing just to make sure everything was right.
Yeah.
And then I just flew in. You boys ready? Yeah, we're ready. Let's go. The show must go on.
and the first night had a couple bumps, but the second night you guys played was really, really great.
I just flew in. So I'm like, okay, now,
Yeah. So that's it. Let's see. Here's a good one. From Josh. Any chance Roger will do a book showing his collection of the other bands he's collected? P.S. Has he seen his Hardcore Legends card? Did you see your Hardcore Legends card?
I don't even know what that is, to be honest.
All right. Well, address the question.
Okay, I think no, after doing this book, I don't want to do anything like that. And in fact, this is a really good representation of all that. And Brian's book is a good representation of records and stuff. I put this, if you go to that Vinyl Assault, which is my Instagram page, that's just me having fun. And if you noticed, I talk a lot about when I'm listening to records, and I have little stories with it. And if you notice, it's like me touring America. It's like I got in the mood one day during the pandemic, and I'm like, I'm gonna go on a record tour. And I was playing records from each place as I'm touring, in my mind, listening. And I have a lot more records than that, of course, but these are the ones I pulled out at that moment and threw in. And I threw a bunch of collections. So it's just me having fun. It's too much. This is not easy. It's not just snapshot and go.
It's hard, man. It's hard.
This is a lot of work. But
here's your card, dude. I don't know.
Oh, that's my card. That's me just talking with you. That's probably the same at that thing we did.
Yeah, listen, Josh Hurst, why did you pick a picture of Roger just bullshitting with me at a book event? Wouldn't you want to use a picture of Roger on stage for his card?
Yeah, you need to change that, buddy.
Yeah.
You
need to. Now, the back of the card is pretty cool. Here's the back of the card. You need an in-action shot there, Mr. Josh.
There's plenty out there.
Come on.
I still got it, man. I still jump.
Yeah, here's the back of the card, which is very cool. Bands he's performed with: the Psychos, Agnostic Front, Madball, Roger, Lady Luck, which I remember, the Alligators, and UXB. Why do I vaguely remember UXB?
UXB was a small thing I did with Sal. It was like a 2-song thing. We never really played. I've never played shows with the Alligators. The Alligators is phenomenal. Both those albums are sick, incredible.
Yeah.
But the rest of the bands I did play with. physically. It shows. And don't forget it. I was also with Warzone, pre-Warzone. You know.
It was on the comp. It was on the comp.
Right, and so many other bands I played with shit. Terror for a moment, but I never played a show because then I was always doing filling with so many bands, but because I was in AF, I couldn't commit to them, you know?
Yeah. And okay, the kid that makes the card says, but Roger gets what Roger asked for. It will be edited, he says.
Well, okay, then I'll see it at some point, I guess.
And
I stay away from the internet because I come home. I'm very, very in person. But I love meeting people, seeing people in person. And I come home, I want to be with my family. The internet doesn't do it for me, man. You know.
I'm tied to it, bro. I'm shackled to it because of what I do.
I'm not saying I'm not, because I have to do what I do too. But it's nothing like meeting a person, shaking their hand,
100%,
and having a real conversation. That's me. It's always been like, and I say that during my live shows. I tell people, hey, you got to meet each other, make a new friend, shake their hand. That's how we did it, and this is how we mosh, we push each other, and they love it. That's what it is.
I want to say that for those out there, one of the reasons I feel that I've always connected with you as a friend. There's a connection here to many people who watch the show is Roger's birthday is June 30th. And Arnie Stone, my father's birthday, is June 30th. And I always felt some sort of a connection, you know, being, you know, and mine is June 28th. So right. I feel like, you know, I see similarities in your personality is actually with my dad. And
I never got to meet your dad, unfortunately. I met your mom. Wonderful.
Yeah, you met my mom, right?
In person.
Right. God, I wonder if I have that picture. That's a great Mom and Roger Miret. Hold on. Wait, where is that? No, I don't know where that is. That's a good one though. That's a good one. Let me see if I have it. Mom. Oh, bingo. Here we go. By popular demand. Here we go. I
believe we have
Roger Miret and my mom. There you go.
In my house.
In your house. You were very kind
behind me.
Oh, there you go. You were very kind. You and your wife were very kind that day because you know my mom is an old interior designer and a lover of architecture. And your house came up in the magazine, the local magazine. I said that's my friend Roger's house. So you know that was part of it. Here we go. Let's see. What else do we have? We'll do a couple more, Roger, and then we'll
sure.
See what we got. This is a fair one. This is all beyond amazing, but more importantly, how's your health, Roger?
You know, I finally got a bill of health, January, March, April. I had to do the last round of whatever I needed to do, January, February, March, and I got a clean bill of health. I still get it checked. I'm actually going to the doctor on Tuesday. I get checked every 3 months still till 6 months and maybe but I'm doing good. I feel really good for the first time. You know, because it's hard trying to play, coming back getting treatment, come back getting treatment. You're like whatever, but I feel good. Thanks for asking. I'm good.
You know when I know you're grappling with health stuff, as a lot of us are as we get a little bit older. When I saw your tour schedule the first time when you went out, I was like, how is this guy going to do this? I mean, and I know, and you've always done it this way, like, and it's a given that like when you go over to Europe, you can't afford days off, right? You have to.
So hey, funny you say that, Drew, because I jumped into it like I normally would jump into it. And then when I was in it, I was like, what am I thinking? Like my body can't handle this anymore. I was going through treatments and stuff. I'm like, oh my God, am I going to make it through it? So it was rough, really rough. And finally, I'm like, okay, I'm back to normal.
Is that right? Look, I just got a message from Chris Contos, right? From our friend Chris Contos says Please ask Roger about sneaking into Europe in 1989 without a passport and getting deported. I ended up singing a few shows along with their tour manager, Mike. I was in verbal abuse at the time. Come on, bro. We mentioned this before, but for Chris, yeah.
Oh, well, what happened was I never had a U.S. passport. I wasn't a citizen.
Right.
And I didn't know, and neither the booking people. They were like, "Oh, Roger, they're an American band. I'll bring him." And when I showed up, all I had was a U.S. reentry. They were like, they let me in Amsterdam somehow. They made me fill out papers and let me in. But then 2 shows later, I was deported, and it was hell till I became a citizen in 2006. It took me that long because of my, criminal history and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I had to clear up a lot of stuff, and then finally, I'm an American citizen now. But I was in this country for years, decades before that.
And it's hard to tour in a situation. I mean, like, isn't getting into Canada really difficult? And when you Canada's like the one that you can't get into, right?
I wasn't allowed forever. I had to clear up a lot of stuff, and I did.
Right.
Getting pardons and all kinds of stuff. I did. Because after so many years of being all right, but for the longest I couldn't. I would sneak in. I would just sneak in like one of the few last times I snuck in. I remember I walked hand in hand over the Niagara Falls Bridge with Jimmy Coletti, because both me and him had difficulties. We walked hand in hand like a couple with cameras and stuff, and they were like, "These dudes are ugly. Let them in." They didn't even check us, and we got in.
That's how you did it.
True story. And then they didn't.
I think I remember hearing this. And they met you on the other. They met you on the other side of the falls.
Right. But Gallo was stopped, and then Gallo had to go through a whole other bridge, and then he got in. We almost didn't play the show. I'm like, how did it not like you and me and him are the ones that had to go hand in hand, walk around, like funny stuff. We did what we did just to get in. I mean, crazy stuff,
Yeah. Martyred Artist says, on a serious note, my riot was awesome. Your honesty about the trauma you experienced has helped many from our scene. Hardcore doesn't always promote discussing feelings. Hardcore doesn't always promote discussing feelings. Thanks for being a great example.
Thank you so much for that. Like that took 10 years into making that book. And I wanted to be as honest and as genuine and with the people reading it. And I wanted them to feel like they were walking along with me as my life experience. Now, that book itself had 3 edits. I lost like 50 pages of that book too during the edits,
Right.
But I just wanted, it was kind of a therapy session for me.
Sure.
Me to say it honestly really was, because at one point I only wanted to go as far as I went, as far as this book with it, and then I decided to go further. But it was a deep therapy session, because it opened up so many wounds and so many things I had internalized and I didn't know till I started talking about it and the experience. I'm like, holy shit, all that, oh my God, I remember this, and I blocked it all. So it was a very good therapeutic thing for me, but it was really weird in the end. After that huge therapeutical work and experience that I had to present it, I'm like, holy shit. Because I've always been a really quiet, humble guy. You know me, Drew, and all of a sudden I'm there presenting it. It was a weird,
but I liked it a lot because it was honest and it was real, and it wasn't the usual, we did this and went and kicked this guy's ass and then, we huffed glue and, like that stuff, your book was brutally honest and you put it out there, it was deep.
Thank you, Drew. And you know what? And I really never read anybody else's book to this day. I still haven't, because I didn't want anything to go into my mind. I want my story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and a lot of people loved it. A lot of people came up to me and and you know what was cool about the book is it came out at the same time as the film, so they were hand in hand. And it was like in the film, you see me talking about my life, and all of a sudden now in the book, you could read extended about my life. So it worked out pretty cool.
Yeah.
I lost you.
Sorry about that. Here's a good one. We'll do a couple more. Where did I just? Oh, Eric G says, "Hi, bros. From a French living in Germany. Roger, see you in Münster on November 17th.
That's one of the shows they're playing right now, coming up with Murphy's Law and Violent Way. I'm excited about that.
That's a good one. Tony Portaro from Whiplash says, does Roger remember when singing backgrounds on Power and Pain, the producer made Pete Steele step 3 feet back from the group microphone because his vocals were so powerful?
I remember.
Yeah.
Well, it was good times out here. I would tell you what, Connie Barrett was our manager, but we had fun because she brought us together. Like bought us Whiplash and Carnival. She brought us together. It was awesome. Great times.
Yeah. Where did your love come from collecting vinyl? Like,
I mean, like, come on, as a kid, you know what I loved most about vinyl besides I love bad punk rock. I like bad pizza. Don't ask me, but I like brutally harsh, stuff that doesn't, because I always liked that. It attracted me, like the stuff that was gritty, ugly, and whatever. But I think my real big love for it was the art. I always hated a band, especially a punk band that put out a 7-inch. It didn't have a cover. Like, oh my, come on. Like, I thought the art was so special. Just like I love the fanzines and I love the flyers. I think it also told another part of the story. Whether I would pick up those records, read the thanks list, and if you don't have any of that stuff, I didn't have another connection to go anywhere else and hear anything. But
well,
I always loved it. Always loved.
We talk about that a lot here. How like, and you and I are the same age. How like in our time, you would go to the record store when the record came out, and you'd open up the record and you'd study the artwork, and you'd read, who produced it, who sang background vocals on it, and you would connect the dots. Kind of, you're like, okay, that's
It was our internet. It was our introduction to finding other bands from all over. You would read about this band. I'll go get it at Freebie, or go get it at Sounds, go get it at at Bleecker Bob's, and wait for it. Okay. You know what I mean? And that was our connection. And it was physical. You had to write to bands. You had to look for stuff. It was like, nowadays, you could be famous tomorrow, and also nowadays, if the Sex Pistols were a band today, they'd be over tomorrow. It was just a different time, a different place, a different era, but it was awesome. I was glad to be a part of it, glad to have lived it.
Absolutely. Hey, shouting out Cuz. What's up, Joey? Good to see you, man. Thanks for stopping by. Oh, this is a good one. I think I could almost answer this for you, but Pat Baldwin asks, are there any Misfits Sam Hague records he's still after?
Well, yeah, there's a holy grail I'd love to get my hands on. I almost did, and people ruined it for me. Is a Pink Legacy of Brutality. I almost got it, and it was on eBay for a minute. I was talking to the seller; they were going to pull it, and as we were talking to the seller, people were, who does that? Amateur bidders bidding like right in the front, and it went past the price she was going to give it to me for, and it went for a ridiculous amount of money. I think it sold for like 20-something thousand. It was insane. So I'm never going to get that.
A Pink Legacy of Brutality.
Insane.
But I have seen your record collection. I saw it. You brought me into the catacombs and showed it to me. And you are a big lover and collector of that Misfit stuff.
Yeah, Misfits and Sam Hague. That my biggest collection, of course, is Agnostic front, and then Misfits, and then Sam Hague, and of course everything New York hardcore. I have every 7-inch. Weird ones like a red No Thanks and weird green this one, weird stuff because I'm a weirdo. Every variant of Urban Waste because I like the different colors.
The Abused, Anecdote. You got all. You have all that. Wait, so Jeff Bronk asks, what is one of Roger's very favorite records that he has in his collection?
Oof, like I say, I have this one record that it might not really shock everybody. I mean, it may not be like, but it's more of a memory. Like, do you remember, Drew? You might remember what's his name? With the patch in his eye, Gringo, Spacely.
Oh, Spacely. Jonathan's, of course. Jonathan Spacely, of course.
Spacely at one point.
Come on. Do I remember Spacely? Yeah.
At one point, he was going through a very hard time. I mean, he had a hard life. You've seen that movie Gringo with him shooting up in it and stuff. And at one point, we were by the Cubes and St. Mark's, where Cube you can move, and we would sell stuff there. Like to make money, whatever, on the street.
Mhm.
And he had all his records out, and he had the Sex Pistols record. And I picked it up. I thought it was really cool because I turned it back and it was pink. I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." And it doesn't have anything on it. What is it? He goes, "Oh, that was Sid's record. He lived with Sid. That was Sid.
Right.
Sid Vicious, you know."
Yeah,
Sid
yeah.
came up to me. That's his personal record, you know. But he was going through this thing. I'm like, "What do you want?" That's Spacely right there, and Matt. I'm like,
That's
"What do you-"
right. That's right.
Yeah.
Matt
I was like,
Matt
"What do you
from
want?"
Hell Matt from Hellbent and Spacely. Yep.
He's like, "Roger, give me $5." I was like, "I give him $5." It's one of my favorite records because it's a story,
Oh,
you know, and it's one of those rare Sex Pistols first, whatever, 1,000, whatever. Who cares? But it's
wow.
a story, you know. Like and I
Wow.
talk about, if you go to my vinyl song page, I talk about stuff like that. I make those story connections.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
they're important to me.
Yeah. Spacely was a character. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what I didn't here's something from that you guys sent me. Just I like to get everything up, but this is the cause for alarm. Did you make these for the 86 tour?
Yeah, that's from the 86 tour. There was
Yeah.
three variations of that shirt. And one of them just says New York Hardcore on the back. And there's a different, I have all three variations or two variations, I can't remember. And that's the one from the tour. It's the 86 tour. That was supposed to be the original cover. And we made use of it, made it a tour shirt.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great graphic, man, you know?
Yeah, Sean Tagger was on point. You know, Sean Tagger at that year, he did our record, he did the Crumbsuckers record, he did the Prong record,
Right.
and he did one more. Oh, he did Whiplash.
Whiplash, yeah. And
Those are
then I guess that was all the same year.
Yeah, 86 was a tremendous year. When all this came out 86. 86, the year 1986 was a tremendous year in music, especially for the crossover. Even the Chromax record, Age of Quark, came out. I mean, Lee, every band you could think of, 86 was 86 was the year of the masterpieces of that whole thing.
Sure. Well, this is is this the original Agnostic front, you know, boots, the iconic boots? Give us some perspective. Where did this imagery come from? What inspired you guys to put this together?
That you're going to see in my book.
Okay.
Why I put everything in chronological order. You'll probably get it in my book. I have to leave the reader to understand.
Yes,
stuff.
please.
But that one there, that red, white, and blue one is a one of a kind, only one ever made. I made that for myself. That's the one I'm wearing in the second press of Victim in Pain. I wore that live, but it's a black and white picture. But I'm wearing that one. That's the red, white, and blue one, the only red, white, and blue one ever made.
Wow.
You know, period. And you know, that's why if you go back, when you do get my book, if you remember this, January 3rd, you can see Todd Youth playing bass. He's wearing a certain T-shirt. And then it goes to our next show, January, February, March, the Jane Street show hotel with Iron Cross. Then you see how it all came together, how everything was pieced together. You know what I mean? And you know, and Tony Tisha is the one that came up with it, basically. But it was his visual from, and I think he got it from that show because that's how he could only put it together, you know.
Tony T-shirt was the singer for all.
Never officially made shirts. You understand?
Yeah.
Tony T-shirt was the guy that would officially make shirts and sell them out of a bag. You remember that?
No, he would make shirts up, and he'd come in with a duffel bag into A7, and he'd throw it on the floor, and you go, "What do you got?" And he would open up the thing, and he'd go, "I got this one, I got that one, and I got a couple of these left. I got this one." You'd be like, "Nah. Yeah, oh, okay, I'll take that." Tony
Cheeser ended up working at Bleecker Bob's and downstairs screening shirts for Bleecker Bob's. He had all the shirts. But then once Tony T-shirt did the stuff, he actually, you know, gave the art for us to do it ourselves. Like we physically started making that shirt in 1985 on our tour. Till then, we didn't make it.
Yeah. Let me say that the book is With Time, the Roger Miret Archives. We've been speaking about it. It's fantastic. Pick it up at www.generationrecords.bigcartel.com. Yoshi already texted me, said, you know, they just moved a couple of units since we started the show. Yeah. So it's also available at Cortex and at Bridge 9 and at Revelation Rev. So
and you know what else I want to mention too is my partner who's been helping me with the book and everything, we just got an Instagram going with Time the Book. If people want to follow that, and then when you do get the books, tag us, tag me, tag whatever, so we can just let us know what you think about it, whatever. So with Time at Instagram at with Time the Book.
Hey, so you connected? We got you connected with this guy recently.
Yeah, Daryl.
Yeah, so Daryl's coming on the show in a couple of weeks, and
he's a great person. I met his son that night too. Yeah, what an awesome dude. Let me tell you something about Daryl. Saw the Godfathers movie. Loved the Godfathers movie. He's like Roger, man. We were living parallel lives. Of course, he's with Run DMC, but we were he loved the whole New York thing about it. Like, living parallel lives. It was cool. He's a great, and his cookies are phenomenal.
Yep. His cookie. Yeah. So I know he's real excited. He was trying to reach you for a while. Glennie Friedman reached out to me, and but you were on tour. I don't want to bother you. You're on tour. So, but eventually I'm glad that he found his way to you. RS70 says, in memory of Todd Youth. I was thinking of Todd when we were talking about the Victim in Pain stuff, because I remember Todd saying one of his big musical regrets was that
he almost did.
Yeah.
His last show was January 3rd, and his mom, the parole officer took him and he disappeared. So we got Kabula and we went and recorded it not too long after that. And that one show that I do have someday, maybe we'll sit down and have a screening of it. People come watch it. Yeah. It's live at the A7 Club. It lasts a whole 20 minutes or set, but everybody's in it, whatever. And Todd Youth playing bass. We're playing already Victim in Pain, 1983. We're already playing like 4 or 5 of those songs. They were already going,
You guys back then were the people's band. I mean, this is the way I remember it. Is like, sure, this band will come in from Jersey, and me and my pals from the Bronx would come down high in the. But Agnostic Front was like the people's band back then.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Drew, because it's true. Before I even got in the band, there was something about Agnostic Front, and they were the people's band. They were never the best band. I'm not saying there were so many bands that were better than us, period, musician-wise, whatever. Great, 7-inch, way better. But for some reason, they were always a people's band from day one. Yeah. They were the one that represented New York hardcore in that famous Philly show with Minor Threat, SSD Control, whatever. We all went to support. They were the people's band with John Watson singing. Yep. John Watson's more the main singer. I mean, Keith came in it for a minute, one show, two maybe. Same thing with Contra, but John Watson was the real singer before me, And Diego on bass and Robbie Cricket. Robbie Cricket lasted 3 or 4 shows. Rabies came in then.
Adam
came in all before I joined the band. That was up towards the ends of '82. Yep. I was in the cycles, whatever. But they were always the people's band. They were never. I remember I used to go see them, and I'm like, was this band ever going to play a full song? Because they will drop the bass, get in the pit. So did Watson, and there's only Stigma playing with either Crib Crash or Rabies. But for some reason, they were the people's band.
And I think a big part of it is Vinny. And because even before I moved back to New York, when we would come down with SSD Control to play the A7, or when we would come down and Bad Brains were playing, Vinny was like the first the first person like we made contact with. He was just a friendly face, and he wasn't hung up on Vinny was just he was a great ambassador back then.
He was the ambassador. He always had the address. He always had a place for people to stay and all that stuff. But let me backtrack a minute. I love Tommy Rat. I'm a Tommy Rat fan, and I've always said Tommy Rat was there before hardcore was there. Yeah, and he actually quoted me on that book, on his book, that I said I've always loved Tommy Rat. For some reason, Tommy Rat was everywhere. It was like a plague, but it was a good plague.
Yeah, Tommy Rat was one of those guys that you could talk to. I remember standing outside shows just talking about music to Tommy Rat. He was one of the he was one of those guys. It was just loved the music. Wasn't there to hurt people. Wasn't there to huff glue. Wasn't there to do any. He was there. He just inherently loved the music.
Absolutely. And then of course Vinny Stigma, like you said, and he's my guitar hero,
Yeah.
my best friend. We've been doing this thing together since 1983, me and him.
Yep. That said, let me just get the flyer for the upcoming European tour. Is there anybody you want to shout out? Is there anybody you want to thank?
Well, I mean, there would be so many people to shout out and thank. First of all, I want to thank you for the show.
Of course.
It was awesome to be on your show. I want to thank Generation Records for having my event that's coming up after the Boston event with Bridge 9. That's the Generation Records.
Yes.
Right. That's December 8th. I'm excited to go there again, meet people, sign their books, make new friends. That's what I'm all about. Same thing on December 7th in Boston with Vinny. That one's with Vinny, and there's a little surprise going on there. Let me wink. Surprise going on, but that's going to be a fun show. I'm also got other events coming up. There's going to be the week following that. We're in California. I don't have anything to show yet, but it's going to be like a proper art gallery type of with all my artifacts and stuff, which I'm excited for. But that show in particular, I'm really excited with Jimmy's coming with us and Violent Way. And that's our European tour. And we're going to make a special announcement soon for a US tour in March. And, it continues, man. We just keep doing, we only do it because we love it. We're not tired of it. I've always told people I never got into punk rock or hardcore. It got into me. And when it got into me, it has never left. It's like it got into me. It's a bug that's got to me, and I still love it, still enjoy it. To this day, I still love playing my 7 inches and love looking at all the stuff that I'm actually sharing with everybody. Because it's the stuff that I've had in my closets, in my little dens, in my little thing. Now I think it's a good time to share it with everyone.
Yeah. James Batista says, Drew, you have reunited my love for New York hardcore with interviews like these amazing shows. What Roger just said holds true for me. We basically do it because we love it. I do it because I love it. And I feel like this history is important. And this is an important part of Americana. The same way that the blues and folk music, to me, hardcore is folk music, and there's an inherent importance, historical value to this stuff. I really believe that.
I agree with you, Drew. I know you have the same passion I got. No question. That's why you do what you do. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, and Chris Contos, thank you. And hi, Jessica. Nice to see you.
Jessica, tell Jessica to say hello.
Hey,
and,
Roger says hello, Jessica.
Yeah, I don't see the comments. I'm sorry, but
okay. Yeah, Jessica says hi, and she just tuned in, and so yeah, that's that. And I will and Frankie Too Far, thank you, and Paul Stone over in Europe. Walter Monster Ryan, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it. Lot of people came by today. Appreciate it. Roger, I'll see. Have all the best to you and your family on your daughter's wedding. Have a great trip out there, and I'll see you. I guess I'll see you in when we get out on the ball field in December and do the book events.
All right, awesome. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Drew.
My pleasure. Take care.
Cheers.
Bye-bye. There you have it. All right. You happy now? All right. Thank you. It was an awesome show. Jan, thanks, man. Absolutely. Jeff Bronk, Chris Contos, the whole gang, everybody, thank you, Eberling and everybody. Every once in a while we do one of these shows with one of the people that are on the Mount Rushmore of New York hardcore. So thanks a lot. Thanks everybody. Steve Malibu, you hung in there. Thank you, buddy. You learned a lot. Good. Shows like this are great. And listen, one last time, I just got to say, please, if you could find it in your heart, if you enjoy the show, please support the show. The show really needs your support. It's the only way that we can go on doing this. We're looking for another sponsor. If anybody wants to throw their hat in the ring, reach out to me. There's a Patreon page. Please join Patreon. We got to keep doing this. I'll see you next week with Glenn Friedman talking about his Bad Brains book. And also, this Friday. Wow, this Friday is Danny Looker's book event at Generation Records, Friday, October 25th. That is this Friday. And then, oh boy, I didn't even mention these. Just Halloween. I am emceeing at the Bowery Electric. I am emceeing the Halloween show with Rebelmatic, Butterbrain, Winterwolf, and Preacher Man. Isaacs doing a set. I will be in costume. So there you go. I will be in costume, accompanied by the lovely Rochelle. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for subscribing to Stone Films NYC. So there you go. Thanks a lot, everybody. Let me just clear everything out here. That was a good one. Put a smile on my face. And you know, and with that said, I'll see you soon. Tell your loved ones that you love them. It's important. It's important that you say these things in this life. Until next time. That's right. That's right. Best show of the year. That's a good one. That's for sure. You know, thank you, Tony. Thank you, everybody. I'm hopped up after this one. Thanks so much. Larry Kelly, Bridge 9, everybody that supports what I'm doing. I love you. Until then, the next time, do good things and good things will come to you.
Conditioned by indoctrination, conditioned by society. You're a victim of the digital age, a 21st century casualty. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Conditioned by misinformation, it's just the media